Good morning.
Good morning, Chairperson.
How are you this morning?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm also, it's cold, but it's good, thank you.
Good thing.
Colleagues, good morning. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend
Morning, Chair.
Morning, Chair.
and that where you are, it's not
Morning,
that
Chair.
cold. Nasipo, can we flight the agenda, please? Colleagues, you got the documentation beforehand. Welcome to this morning's meeting, and I hope we will have a successful meeting. I want to ask that we observe a moment of silent prayer or meditation. Thank you. Any apologies?
Good
Nasipo?
morning, Chairperson. Yes, there is an apology from Mr. Ngumalo, the committee member. He is still off sick as of the last committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other apologies that anybody is aware of? Right, then we're going to move to point 4. Consideration and adoption of the draft report of the Committee on the Budget Vote 41. As you all recall, we did that, the presentation. We got a legal opinion that we don't need to do that over because our budget vote did not change. Nosipu or Tumani would like just to add something to that before we start?
Tomani, Chairperson, will do so.
Yeah, Tumani.
Good morning, Chairperson. And honorable members. Yeah, I'm not quite sure, Chairperson, you would like me to add on to the issue of legal advice or to continue?
Please, yeah, let's everybody just be on board before we continue.
Yes, yeah, we sought a legal advice and we were advised that we should continue or from where we left off the budget briefings. And we were told that that is in line with, I think, section. There is a section in the Constitution that I will get it to it. So to save time and resources, so we need to continue from the last time we discussed the budgets. And subsequent to that, the House Chairperson also issued a directive that we should continue with the budget if there are no changes in the tabled budget. So that was the case with our budget, and we continued from there. So that is why now we are here today. We will share the brief because they were not because of the time. Then short notice, so they could not draft the brief, but we have got an email from a senior advocate that we will share with the members just for your records as well, and for you as you continue perhaps to brief your constituencies and so on, so that you have got the briefing in writing. So we will do that. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable Reddy, good morning.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, colleagues. I just have a question about when we speak about legal advice, just who is in the legal department in water and sanitation? Could Mr. Tomani there just tell us who makes up the legal team in water and sanitation?
No. It's Parliament's legal team, honourable member.
Chairperson, the reason I ask this is that water and sanitation had a legal team. In fact, there was a person, I just forget his name, appointed by the previous minister. He was providing legal advice to the department, specifically water and sanitation. So I would like to know, I mean, surely somebody here knows who's the legal team within this department. And I'm specifically
No,
asking
no,
that question.
but
I have a reason why.
Honorable member, that's irrelevant for what we are here to do today. We are here to consider our adoption. I don't know whether you refer to Anil Singh, that he was a DDG, but he was also giving legal advice. But that is irrelevant. What here happens is it's constitutional, and the chair of chairs also got a legal opinion, and only why we asked for a legal opinion, because if the budget, the budget 3 was approved, we had ours after point 2, and we then there was no changes to our budget. If there was the second version and the third version of the budget, there was no change to water and sanitation. And we requested a legal opinion whether we should restart the process or not. If there was any changes to our budget, we had to start the process afresh. So we got a legal opinion as a committee, and Parliament got a legal committee, the chair of chairs. So all the committees where there was no changes, the process can just continue, and we can consider our draft, our adoption of our draft report. So that is the reason. You may need that for other information. Can I ask that we present you with that information? I'm also not sure who that is, because we as a committee, we don't work with legal advice from the department. We seek our legal advice from Parliament. We're not a subsidiary of the Water and Sanitation, but of Parliament. So therefore, I am not sure myself who it is. I also don't really care who it is, because we don't receive any legal opinion from them. If we seek legal opinion, we will ask legal opinion from Parliament, because that is the organization we are from, not
Chair,
from the
Chair,
department. But you
Chair,
can tell us why you need that.
Okay, thank you very much. Chair, I hear you, but maybe this is unbeknown to you and my honorable colleagues on this committee. But the previous minister, that was Senzo Mchunu, he appointed a special legal advisor to himself and to the department. And I want to know whether this legal advisor is still in the employ. I know the issue about Anil Singh and all. This is not Anil Singh. This was a legal advisor that was appointed by the previous minister. And I think it's important that members in the committee are aware of these appointments, because this is where cadre deployment takes place and it's kept away from the committee. This was quite a controversial appointment. And sometimes these things are kept under the rug. So this is dealing with the legal advice to the committee. So maybe the DG or somebody here can provide us with that report as to who are the legal advisors to our committee. Now, I hear you. This is a parliamentary process. We got a legal opinion from the parliamentary legal advice. But then we have people who are also, if I'm correct, that are employed by the department to provide legal advice. They ought to be presenting to us what is the advice that we should be following based on what is said to us by Parliament. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Reddy. Department is not present today. It's a committee meeting to approve our budget. So unfortunately, the department cannot answer. But may I make a suggestion? A very good question you ask. Why don't you just do a parliamentary question to the minister and ask who is the legal advisor and whether that person is still available? We can do that as well. From the committee side, we can ask who represents the department or who gives them legal advice. So that you're more than welcome to ask them directly. Honorable Moore, your hand was up. I would like us to start with the business of the day.
Chair, I won't make my point as long as we continue with the business of the day and not other matters. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Dithebe?
Chair, I propose that we proceed. I think your ruling on this matter is quite correct. Another arm of the state. So I think during the retraining, if one could put it that way, of members of parliament last week, one member asked whether we could do oversight together with the executive when they go in particular abroad. And the House Chair, Mr. Froelich, made it abundantly clear that we are another arm of the state. Of course, it's a mutually reinforcing relationship, but at this point in time, the reason the department is not here is that the bulk of in fact, the business of the day has to do exclusively with the committee and not with stuff that comes from the executive. So I welcome your ruling and propose that we proceed, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you understand and take the advice. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to write a letter as well to ask that the committee do that, but you can do it in the questions, the written questions, you can ask that. It would be interesting to see in any case what the outcome of that is. Colleagues, can I then ask that Tomani, can you present us this report and then we can take a decision on the report? Thank you. Tomani?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson.
Did they fly the report as well?
Yeah, I will flight the document from my side here. Yeah, I think I've got it now. Just confirm from your side if you're seeing the report.
We see it, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. The committee dealt with this budget vote for 2 days. We started the 22nd of April, and then we completed the process with the catchment management agencies on the 17th of June. And just to go through the report, I'm going to just summarize important sections. The introduction provides the basis on which the budget was tabled, as well as the mandate of the department. And it also notes the important part, which is noting that this year is the first year of the Government of National Unity Medium-Term Development Plan, what used to be called Medium-Term Special Framework. So now it has changed to the MTDP. So that is the first year, and we can see with the direction that the department has taken with the reflections on priorities 1 up to 5, with one relating to water services, and the second one relating to national water resources management and national water infrastructure, and the third one relating to regulation, and the fourth one relating to administration and governance. So that is the introduction, as well as the purpose of this is to offer the committee opportunity, of course, to complete the process of adopting the budget vote, as it were, so that then the parliament it will contribute to the other budget votes as they are processed by various committees. Section 2 deals with the overview of the alignment of the Department of the strategic plan with the Constitution, medium-term development framework, and other key national and regional global development priorities. So in this case, we reflect on the alignment with these overarching plans, the State of the Nation Address, the NDP, the Sanitation, Water and Sanitation Master Plan, and the African Union Vision 2063. So what I would like also to advise members is that when we begin with this process, we shared with the committee the budget analysis research report, which went into detail in terms of the alignment and also reflecting on the nitty-gritties of some of these plans that we state here. And then we also now reflect on the issue of the Constitution around the Bill of Rights relating to the provision of water and protection of the environment. And figure 1 shows the alignment between the strategic plan, the SDGs, the NDP, as well as the State of the Nation address, which highlighted really the importance or the direction that the department should take going into this term in the medium-term framework for this year. So you could see there that there is issue around operation and maintenance of water infrastructure, as well as issues around investment of infrastructure, and as well as development, and the issue around legislation. So that is in a nutshell a summary of the alignment. And then we reflect on the local government legislation relating to water services. And then we reflect on the key strategic water and sanitation infrastructure projects, as we have listed them there, Mokolo Crocodile River Water Augmentation Phase 2, Komazi, as well as Olifants River Water Resource Development Phase 2 as well. So all these projects, I think, for the past term, committee has done very well in terms of dealing with this issue. So these are not new projects, are projects that we are all very familiar with. So those are some of the plans. But also what to note here is that in the medium term, we will see the establishment of the National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency, which is, I think, is an important aspect in the water sector, as well as the review of the legislations, so that then we continue to deliver the services. And this table reflects on the 5-year term. So this is very important. It's a very important table that members should keep in their minds as they continue to do oversight, because this is what we will be required to make sure that this is delivered, because it's a plan for the department for the next 5 years. So in other words, when the committee develop its own strategic plan, then we will be taking some of these things so that then we follow up. So you can see the outcome, priority 1, as I've indicated earlier on, is that insofar as reliability of water services improved, the percentage currently, they say the baseline is 68, which is something that the members, I think we spoke about this when we were dealing with the SDGs, and they would like to take it up to 80% by 2030. So that is just a reflection or an example on how this should be read. And you can see insofar as water mix is concerned, then that is how they would like to roll out some of the water sources, because there is a concern that the surface water resources are dwindling, and then maybe it's about time that issues around reuse and desalination then also contribute to the sources. So that is section 2, and then section 3 we look at the overview of the 2025-2026 medium-term annual framework financial estimates. In this case, we're just reflecting on the allocations main account. As you know, the department has 2 accounts, the main account and the water trading account. And main account, we know, is the account that receives the main allocation from the fiscus, while the water trading account receives the issues around water sales. So, but of course, the main account also contributes a little bit to the water services water trading account. And table 1 just shows the allocations that the allocations 26 billion, and you can see over the medium term that the the budget is going to reduce. So it's 26, 24, and 23. So over the medium term, the budget is reducing. And in terms of economic classification, then you can see a lot of money goes to transfers and subsidies. So that is something that we should bear in mind, that the budget is continuing to decrease, although that is why perhaps the direction now is going towards public-private partnerships, so that then to try to augment the budget in the sector. And then the Water Trading Act, water trading entity as well. This is another account, which we can see the allocation over the NTEF. So you can see also there, it's also slightly increasing, but that is depending on the pace at which the collection is concerned, insofar as water debts are concerned. Then the allocation here, you can see as well, table 2. Then we have got 19 billion, 20 billion, 21 billion. So there is a slight increase in this regard. So that is insofar as that account is concerned. Then this is an overview of the grants, the RBIG and the WISIC. And what we need to note here is that there are two dimensions to this. There is an amount that is transferred to the municipalities or implementing agents. That is the 5B, and 6B, it's where the department now appoints the implementing agents by itself. So that is the basis. Then table 3 gives us the breakdown in terms of provinces where these monies are going to be spent. Then you can see allocations per province. So these are some of the things that going forward, then we need to look at these monies, where are they being spent exactly, as we conduct the oversight throughout the term. And table 2, you can see the 6B grants insofar as provinces are concerned as well. And then section 4 deals with the evaluation of the budget allocation and the annual performance plan for the financial year. So here now we zoom into the actual year that is under review. So that is the current year that we have started in this year. So you can see that in terms of the increase here, there is a slight increase this year. When we talk about real change, it's a 6.8% increase for the year under review. So there is a slight increase this year, but of course, bearing in mind that the next 2 years, then the budget is going to decrease. But of course, this year we have got a little bit of money to work with. And then we've got programs, and the under programs, then we provide the allocations, and then we highlight some of the key targets that the department intends to do. And you can see one, if I may give an example of the vacancy rate, that they intend to reduce it to less than 10%. So this is something that we need to look at. But of course, when we're dealing with the quarterly report, you would remember that there was an issue around this 10% where they were unable to meet it. But the intention is still there to continue to make sure that it remains under 10%. And then there are issues around bigger projects, and the issue around Orange Sengu and the Nkomati Maputo Water Course commissions. These are the commissions that assist with the transboundary water management. So one deals with the ones in the Nkomati catchment, and then the other one is the Orange River catchment, which starts from Lesotho all the way to Namibia. Then water services, water resources management, program 2, and then program 3, water services management, which is, I think, takes the large chunk of budget. This is somehow a priority program of the department, because a lot of work goes through this program, which is mainly dealing with the infrastructure development and support municipalities, and the issue of bucket toilets. You can see here that they intend to continue providing bulk services, so that then the budget could be eradicated completely. But as you can see, it is still relating to the to development of bulk service, so that to support the actual eradication of bucket toilets. And table 6 shows the augmentation projects that the department is going to do this year. And you can see some of the clear projects, Mzimvubu water project. But what we would like members to note here is the allocations. As you can see, for Mzimvubu water project, there is only 59 million. So you can see, depending on how much this project is going to cost, it's going to cost a lot of billions. But you can see the budget that is there. So it shows that there isn't enough budget to cover or to provide for these big strategic projects. So that is something that we need to note going forward. And then Section 5 provides overview of budgets, mandates of the entities supporting the work of the department. Here we're talking about the entities that we dealt with. They presented some of them. They presented on the first day, and the other ones were like the CMAs. We have dealt with them on our last meeting. The department in total have got 15 entities. And you can see in table 7, then we list some of them: a water trading entity, Komati Basin Water Authority, and the allocated budgets as well. And what I would like members to note is that insofar as catchment management agencies, these are the amount that they've been allocated through the fiscus for the financial year. And as we have seen in our last meeting, that these budgets are not in line with what they had planned in their APPs. So there is a slight, and then we can see the water boards, they will get some money from there. So it's only 3 of them that are going to be provided with some budget, which is in a total or in the region of 1.8 billion. And Table 8 provides now a complete list of all the entities together with their mandates, because there was an issue, I think, during the briefings that members were concerned that some of the entities may be duplicating each other's responsibilities. But that is not the case, as we can see here, the Trans-Caledon Authority. But this entity is going to be disestablished during the term under review. And currently it has been, it's going to, its budget is 15 billion, but this budget, of course, is raised from water sales and also from the market. So it's not necessarily from the fiscus. Water Research Commission, this allocation is from their APP, which they've indicated that is how much they are going to spend to deliver on their plans for the year ahead. And catchment management agencies, you can see they are established in terms of Section 78 of the National Water Act. And you can see all of them there. And the budgets that we have listed there, these budgets are from the APPs of these CMAs. And you can see they are quite higher than the amount that is available. So that is something that is worth noting, as they've explained. And then below, it's water boards and the mandate in terms of the legislation, how they are established and so on. And we indicate, of course, the provinces where they operate. As you can see, Rainwater is operating in almost 4 provinces, but it might be even less now, because as they continue also to pull back from some of these provinces, because sometimes they go there just to provide as an intervening or maybe sent by the department to assist. So you can see all the water boards. Then that brings us to section 6, committee observations, questions and responses. So the committee, after dealing with the receiving the briefings and deliberating on the presentations, there were questions that the committee dealt with, mainly around issues of water service delivery issues pertaining to non-revenue water, water pollution, municipal debts to water boards, infrastructure maintenance and development, research and innovation, while mainly on the CMAs, the issues were around the compositions of governing boards, performance measures, budget shortfalls, transformation and inclusivity, and roles of CMAs versus water boards and operational challenges. And what we have done here, we have tried now to bring the question or the observation closer to the explanation that was provided following that question, so that then we don't have to cross-read to make it easier, in fact, for everyone that reads this report, that this is the answer, this is the question, this is the issue, this is the answer. So the first issue related to water quality and so water supply reliability, as I've indicated, that there was this concern around 68% of reliability, and the members requested more information around that, and that's where now you see the 80% coming into the picture now, showing that in the next 5 years, this is what the department would endeavor to do. Section 6.2 deals with reprioritization of the budget and short-term interventions, and the committee have probed about the reallocation of budgets, whether this is possible or not, to fix issues of water leaks and non-revenue water. And the department indicated that some of the support that they provide has got nothing to do with sometimes funding, but they also provide technical support. But of course, there are grants that are allocated to deal with some of these issues. And then they've given a detailed answer to that. And some of these issues, members, we have dealt with them in so many meetings in the past. I think 2 terms. So they sound repetitive, but yeah, that is the nature of the work of this committee. You would find that question comes and more time and again. I don't know how many times we have dealt with the issue of the 105 municipalities, but here it is again. So, but it's important that we deal with these issues, as that is at the core of this, the mandate of this committee. 6.3 deals with the regulation and enforcement, and 6.4 deals with the role of Water Research Commission in addressing current water sector challenges. And here the Water Research Commission also indicated that they conduct research on various issues relating to the water value chain, issues around water quality, sanitation technologies, water reuse, treatment of acid mine drainage, sludge treatment, and issues of emerging contaminants. And they've got students that they support, which includes also issues of women empowerment or the vulnerable, which includes women-led research projects. And they also provide support to municipalities and water boards, and they continue to provide training as well to some of the municipal engineers. So those are some of the highlights that they provided. And then the issue around financial mismanagement and irregular expenditure. The committee raised a concern around the issue of financial malfeasance, and they requested the department to elaborate on this. And the department indicated that they are implementing procurement policies, oversight mechanisms, and they've got internal and external audit committees, and they have got corrective action plans which they have shared with us, and we have seen, we've got evidence of this from their quarterly reports. We have seen where they indicated issues and they put corrective measures in place as well, and they continue to blacklist the companies and directors that fail to deliver projects, and they continue also to use litigation as a corrective action. And where the government is concerned or municipalities are concerned, they also use the issues of the intergovernmental relations to settle disputes. And 6.6 deals with the TCTA capital projects and financing. And in this case, the committee noted the need for funding for new capital projects by TCTA and probe whether TCTA has the impetus to raise the required funds, reported to be in the region of 30.4 billion for new water projects, and the implication of public finance and water tariffs. And the TCTA assured the committee that all funding applications and agreements are signed off by the Minister of Water, Finance and National Treasury. So in other words, when they apply for credit and so on, and subsequently entering into agreements, then the ministers concerned are the people that authorizes such agreements. And also they indicated the role of the government guarantees in terms of securing some of the credit for these projects. 6.7, intervention in dysfunctional municipalities. This is an issue that we have dealt with at length in our previous meeting, as well as in this processing of this budget. And as you can see there, the department indicated that there are legislative tools that they use to intervene in these municipalities, mainly Section 63 of the Water Services Act, as well as Section 139 of the Constitution, which provides for the province as well as the national department to intervene in municipalities. And they gave an example of the program that they are running at Emufuleni local municipality. So that is one example. But of course, I think we have received a lot of answers with regard to this, but in the previous other meetings. But this was given at this meeting, and they continue to provide. I think they indicated that they are still going to liaise with COCTA and other stakeholders to develop a plan, a comprehensive plan around dysfunctional municipalities. Then 6.8, governing boards of CMAs and performance indicators. This relates to the issue around the lack of detail in the performance indicators, where there was a concern that there is a lack of comparison with the previous years, which makes it difficult to measure progress. And insofar as boards are concerned, members wanted to have details of board members, their qualifications, experience, term durations, and remuneration packages, including those of staff. And the department indicated that the issue around the performance of previous years is usually given when an annual report is tabled, which now shows the plan and the work that was done, and in comparison with the previous year, how the performance was rolled out. So that is on that basis. That's why then usually on the APPs, it's usually they provide a baseline, which is not necessarily the performance of the other multiple previous years. And insofar as the content of the APPs, they indicated that they are regulated by Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, as well as National Treasury. And that is legislated because there is a guideline, the National Treasury 2007 framework for managing program performance information. So in other words, there is a template that they need to follow that is outlined in that document. And the CMAs also indicated that their work mainly involves highly skilled technical staff, and these technical staff are paid market-related salaries. That is why then you would find the salaries being so high for some of them, and board members are paid receive hourly sitting fees, the National Treasury guidelines. So that is how the salaries are determined. And for CEOs, they indicated that are aligned to chief directors' public service levels. That is insofar as board appointments are concerned. And then the role of catchment management agencies and water boards. This one we have dealt with, which shows the difference between CMA and water board. So the answer is clear there. 6.10, viability and funding of CMAs. This was in relation to the shortfall in budget, and they indicated the measures that they would put to address the issues around shortfall. And then the issue 6.11, Livabalo Water Use Association, currently known as Badira Moho Water Use Association. This was in relation to the issue around conflict of interests, as well as the allegations around a board member. And there was an indication that this question was answered through a written question. I think it was an oral, but could not be answered orally, but subsequently a written answer was provided, and that the question number to the National Assembly, which is recorded as 1964. So that is where the details could be found around this answer. But nevertheless, they provided some more information to indicate that this Water Use Association is in Skukune area, and it mainly deals with agriculture, municipal, and mining sectors. And they said it has been transformed, and subsequently it has changed its name from Livabalo to Badiramoho Water Use Association. And now it's currently seized with the supply of water from the Warp Dam to the communities around this region. And this is funded through the 50-50 arrangement between government and private sector. And the project there, the total cost is 28 billion. That is financed through collaboration, where the infrastructure fund is providing the assisting with the provision of the blended finance. And this is where the issue of the 1.4 billion that was advanced to this Water User Association to start with the preparations for this project it was mentioned during the answer to this question. And insofar as the board member, the department indicated how come and how the board member was appointed to indicate that he was representing the department as the chief director, as an acting DDG at the time, and he had the required qualification and experience, and is currently heading a water department at the seat of Cape Town. And insofar as his wife was concerned, she was an employee of Price House Waterkeepers, an auditing firm which had a contract with the Water User Association. And once her husband started saving, and then they removed her from that contract. So that is insofar as that issue is concerned. And 6.12, lack of transformation and inequitable water rights, and the issue around the slow pace of transformation in the water resources management, that there was a concern that the pace is too slow of transformation, but the department acknowledged and provided explanation around the transformation efforts that they are providing, which includes revision of constitutions of irrigation boards and water user associations, and they use also licensing water use licensing as an instrument for redress, and they provide resource-poor farmers with support. And they indicated that they would, in the future, host a workshop around this issue of transformation, and continue also to bring the committee abreast or up to speed with the issues of transformation. And then the answer goes further insofar as that issue is concerned. Then the 6.1.3 management of transboundary catchments. This is the issue around the management or the sharing of transboundary water resources. In this case, the IUCMA indicated that it shares catchments with Swaziland, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe through international agreements, such as the international agreement between the republics of Mozambique, South Africa, and Swaziland on the protection, sustainable use of Nkomati and Maputo watercourses, 2002. With the purpose to promote cooperation among the parties to ensure the protection and sustainable utilization of the water resources of the Nkomati and Maputo watercourses. So that is the agreement that is between South Africa, Swaziland, and Mozambique, which IUCM is party to. So it's in other words, it's representing South Africa in that, and they continue to make sure in their activities that the conditions of that agreement are implemented. And the Orange Sengu River Commission agreement between Botswana, Lesotho, Namibia, and South Africa, including the revised SADC protocol on shared watercourses 2000. These are some of the agreements that are used as well in the region to promote transboundary water cooperation, so that the neighboring states receives fair share of the transboundary rivers and water resources. And Section 7 brings us to the recommendations and resolutions. 7.1, the department should provide a briefing to the committee on the interventions plans that are in place for the 105 municipalities that are classified as in crisis or dysfunctional in the third quarter of 2025. This one, I think the time frame there, it's in light of the fact that this plan, insofar as the department provided the information, indicates that the plan, they are still working on it together with the COGTA, and I think it's being led by COGTA. So I think the fact that they need to provide the answer around the third quarter, that gives them enough time to put that together, so that then the committee can be favored with that plan. 7.2, the committee recommends that the department should prioritize to support or assist a few municipalities over a period to ensure efficient and effective use of scarce resources, and provide a prioritization report to the committee in the third quarter. This also relates to the concern that the committee members raised, that perhaps the department's efforts are spread thin across the country. How about trying to pick a few municipalities and focus on those, rather than, because if you look at the plan around 105 and you look at the budget that they've got, it might not make any dent. So if you pick a number, a sizable number, and then stick to that, then that perhaps might show some improvement insofar as municipalities are concerned. So that is a recommendation that has been made. The Department of Water and Sanitation, Trans-Caledon Authority Auditor General should brief the committee on the progress and challenges regarding the construction of Lesotho Islands Water Project Phase 2, including the Lesotho Islands Water Project Treaty project funding and delays. And I think this one, it just came back, but I think we have already dealt with this in our meetings. But Yeah, I think we've dealt with this. Auditor General has briefed the committee on this issue. 7.4, the department should provide detailed information, including the rollout implementation plan on the 28 billion allocated to the Nkomazi water project within 14 days. The department should provide detailed information on the board members of all CMAs, which should include, among others, experience, gender, and qualifications within 14 days. 7.6, the department should provide a report within 14 days on the citizenship status of a former acting CEO at IUCMA and her unilateral appointment of a law firm to institute forensic investigation without following supply chain management process. The report should also address the process followed to appoint her skills that she possesses, a vetting of her qualifications report. Did she declare that she is a consultant in her country of birth? Why did the board appoint a foreigner instead of a local person that met the requirements? So that is and the department here requested specifically to handle the response from IUCMA. So the department is going to provide us with that response. 7.7, the committee resolved to set up a meeting to discuss and address constituency issues from the committee members, where the department would provide answers. The secretariat would provide a suitable date for this meeting within the framework of the broader parliamentary program. So this relates to the issues that members, mostly in our meetings, they raise issues that relate to their constituencies, and sometimes the answers are difficult to come by. So, but of course, then the committee is going to have a meeting where we would be only focusing on constituency issues. So there will be no presentation from the department, but just questions from members and so on. But the plan we will discuss with the secretariat, and a suitable date will be planned properly in light of the broader parliamentary program. 7.8, the committee resolved to apply to the House Chairperson for a special meeting on the National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency and water use transformation, or that is the transformation of irrigation boards to water use associations and other related matters. So this is another resolution that pertains to the committee itself. So it's another resolution that the meeting will be set up once the House Chairperson has given a go-ahead for a special meeting. And that is, Chairperson, the budget report for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Temani, for a comprehensive report. Honourable members, that is the report presented. You have received it beforehand. Would you like to speak on the report? Temani, there's just one mistake I picked up. It's PricewaterhouseCoopers and not other way around. If you maybe can double check on that quickly.
Yes,
I think
yes.
it's PricewaterhouseCoopers. There you go. There's it. PricewaterhouseCoopers is Waterhouse-Coopers.
Oh, Waterhouse-Coopers, yeah. Water. Yeah. Yes.
Honourable Ditebe.
Good morning to you, Chair. Good morning to colleagues, everybody on the platform, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak first on this. Earlier on, Chair, I raised my hand but lowered it because I thought that we would be making interventions as and when Temani was proceeding due to the sheer size of the report, but then I decided against it, but let me proceed nonetheless. Chair, where there is reference to multilateral instruments, that includes the SDGs, the AU's Agenda 2063, and indeed other interventions or instruments within the department. While this may seem insignificant or innocent at first, but I think to the extent that the report speaks about the department providing support to households, you will remember, Chair, that there have been very heated debates in the Portfolio Committee about what the department intervenes directly in providing water to communities and specifically to households. And I think with a very clear delineation of boundaries, which boundaries nonetheless are mutually reinforcing, that is the department setting the norms and standards, and the different entities, catchment management agencies, the water boards, etc., right up to the water services authorities. It is quite clear that we are facilitating that support. We are not providing it directly. So the use of support to households may seem innocent, but somebody may interpret that to mean that we must get involved in the actual reticulation of water in communities, which means to consumers. And I thought that we should rather use the word facilitate rather than support to households, or facilitate support to water provisioning. I think that's the first point that I took off. And while I welcome in the recommendations, for example, and before the recommendations, there is also reference to the 105 out of 144 municipalities that are in a critical state as per the blue drop assessment and the green drop assessment. But I think there is a figure there, a figure of 400 million rand, which the department indicated that is the quantum required to help sort out the 105 municipalities, because a lot of this would be infrastructure that is either aged or that was unmaintained over a period of time, and in some instances, outright criminality, vandalism, etc. So I think we should reference that figure, because as per that particular report of the department states that there will be an additional 10 million rand and then 10 billion rand and another rand, which would be 20 billion rand to try and sort that out exactly or specifically. But that, Chair, will still be very, very insignificant in terms of the total of 400 billion rand. And I'm raising this in the context of what the report says about the budget declining progressively over a period of time. And of course, there was reference to the private-public partnerships. So I thought just to situate that in context is important. On the special purpose vehicles, Chair, while one agrees that in an instance of a section 139(1)(4) and 5 of the Constitution, it may very well be desirable to support a particular water service authority by invoking section 63 of the Water Services Act. The indication, the response we got from the department is that if you look at these 105 municipalities where there is realization that there might be a need for a proactive intervention, even in other words, outside of the context of the section 139(1)(4)(5) of the Constitution, read with section 63 of the Water Services Act, that is still possible. So I think the report should reflect that, so that we are not limited to section 139 of the Constitution, because we're not going to have many such interventions, and yet there is a great need. There are municipalities, Chair, that you know, to the extent that they were town-based for the 2000 dispensation, towns were amalgamated to form one single municipality, in this instance, a Category B municipality. Those municipalities in the interim, pre-interim, and interim phase would have existed as towns, thereby treating their own water and then reticulating it to households. Same with sanitation. But now, once those were then amalgamated, nothing changed in that respect, which means therefore that in the aftermath of 2000, the new dispensation where town-based municipalities were put together to form one municipality out of 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 towns, then you need to aggregate those assets. That's where then the special purpose vehicle comes in. So I've dealt already with the 400 million. The last one, Chairperson, is the water boards as going concerns. While here we recall Section 216 of the Constitution in terms of our support to the department to impress upon National Treasury to hold a portion of the equitable share that is due to municipalities to alleviate the levels of debt by water service authorities to water boards. We need to just make sure that that is emphasized here, because on very many occasions in meetings of the Portfolio Committee, we emphasize this, and the DG on behalf of the department indicated that last year in December, there was an error on the part of National Treasury to not go ahead with all of the municipalities, that is the withholding of the equitable share. And I think, Chairperson, if you look at the progressive decline of the budget and read in the context or understood in the context of the need for the ring-fencing of revenue that is obtained from water and sanitation or trading services, then I think that becomes even more important. So in the interim, use the equitable share to stabilize water boards that are in distress, and we have noted in the past, in this instance, Mahalis and Val Central. Chair, so the last one, Chair, relates to the review of the treaty, the 1986 treaty between us and Lesotho. And I'd like to just perhaps more specifically say that this must be mutually fair, viable, and sustainable, because you will know that some of the text of that particular treaty appeared quite opaque and somewhat unintelligible to somebody that needed to understand. That's why even the Office of the Auditor General hired a consultant to unpack for them the royalties regime that is used here. So I think that is important. And the last one on that same project, it is important that in our recommendations, we emphasize that the phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project must be concluded within budget. And as per the response of the Deputy Minister in the House some weeks ago, he indicated that come 2030, the earliest period is 2029, but come 2030, this phase of this particular project must be completed. Now, in terms of construction law, that means the project to be deemed successful, it must be handed over on budget, on time, within budget to the client. So that, Chairperson, those are my few points that I thought I should just emphasize, although reference indeed broadly is made to these points that I have raised within the report. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ditebe. Honorable Reddy.
My apologies, Chair. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, colleagues. And thank you to the presentation, to the presenter. Now, Chairperson, let me just begin by saying that any references to the Bill of Rights is really an insult, because I'm not here to, and I don't think the people out there, our communities, are judging us on how well we speak in these committees and how well we can quote the relevant legislation. They're concerned about having water in their taps. They don't really care about who is the responsible government that provides water. But we are in a portfolio called Water and Sanitation. And the name in itself will tell you that we are responsible for the provision of water. The reality is that Bill of Rights, Section 27, refers to access of water to all our citizens. And this government, through this committee and this portfolio, it's our responsibility to ensure that our citizens have access to water. The reality on the ground is that this is not so. Millions of our people do not have water. And it's not just the poor anymore. It's even those that are living in suburbs, like in KZN, Umhlanga, Queensborough, and others. For months on end, they don't have access to water. And we are forced to rely on water tankers. And these water tankers are run by politically connected cronies. Now, Chairperson, anybody that supports what has been presented is saying to our communities that what you're going through now is acceptable. Let's talk about water quality and access. The department's own blue, green, and no drop reports, it's revealing that the quality of municipal water has regressed and raw sewage is flowing directly into rivers and streets. Examples of this is the Allen Ridge Pan in Machabeng. This has become a toxic lake. In Durban, we have raw sewage because of collapsed waste treatment works. And we've asked, as MK Party, that the department must start charging those mayors criminally and putting them behind bars. That is the kind of action we want to see happening, because that's the only way anything can be done. Chairperson, we first started off with budget 0.1 or 1.0, where we saw a VAT increase. And then that was subsequently changed after pressure was brought on by various organizations. And it then became a question of fuel levy increases. Chairperson, both these taxes are regressive taxes, and it's taxes we should avoid. And as a department...
Already, my apology. We are not having a political debate.
I know.
We are looking at a report, and I would like you to focus on the content of the report and not political, your view. Your view is your view. And
I'm aware of that.
Your view.
But yeah,
I really
Chairperson, I
understand your view, but
I respect you, but I think it's important that we need to place what we're doing in its correct context. When it comes to these budgets, all of us are going to have to approve or reject these budgets, and they all contribute to the overall budget in which we are now calling for fuel levies. And when you look at the wastage of money, and let me talk about this budget, right? Let me talk about this. We are expected to approve a report where 99.9% of the budget was spent, yet only 62% of the targets were met. Huh? Now, what we're doing is we are burning 23.6 billion rands, and yet we are leaving millions of our people without access to safe, clean water. And this is a direct violation of Section 27 of the Bill of Rights. Now, Chairperson, currently, over 10,000 households in this country are still using bucket latrines. And there's 250 million rand that was spent on so-called eradication of the bucket system. And this has not happened. And that was presented...
I've got a point of order. Please just hold a bit.
Sure.
Yes, Honorable Detebe.
Chairperson, the point of order is that we must either enrich the report as presented to us by somebody who was recently appointed, who is very qualified to do what he's supposed to do, but it's not entirely up to him, it's up to us as members. So the points that the honorable member is raising may be relevant for purposes of the debate, but even if he wanted to raise them, let him raise them as per the different sections of the report to say, I recommend, for example, on the bucket eradication, that we do 1, 2, 3, 4 in the relevant section of the report. Now, this is not an intent to gag him, but remember that you are the chair and you play the same role as the presiding officers in the House, in the main plenary. So when you make an intervention, we must listen to you because we're not operating like we are in a workshop or something. I think those rules still pertain. And only last week, members were reoriented. Thank you, Chair.
Really, Honorable Reddy, that is what I was trying to explain to you, that we as a committee, you don't need to accept the report. You may make some recommendations to the report, and the committee must decide whether they accept your recommendations. So what I really want to plead with you is
let me conclude, Chairperson. I can understand where this other person that spoke, Honorable
No, Honorable Reddy,
obviously doesn't like to get the
Honorable
truth.
Reddy, give me a
ANC,
chance.
and they've
I'm
been
on the floor.
responsible for the dilemma
Honorable
of
Reddy,
Facebook currently.
Honorable Reddy, I'm on the
Yes.
floor. I will give you the opportunity. Honorable Reddy, we all belong to different political parties. You are allowed to have your opinion, but here we work as a committee. When you go and we debate this, you will carry out the mandate of your party. But what we try to achieve here is to come to a common agreement on the report. You don't need to accept the report. You can ask for recommendations or changes to the report. And that's why I would really plead with you going forward as a team that you make your recommendations, you and make changes where you would like to make changes. But let's just keep away a bit from politics. I respect your political view, as I respect other members' political views as well. But we've got a task to do to get a report before committee. And at the end of the day, you will take a decision to say, I don't accept this report. It will be noted that way if you don't accept the report. And nobody will fight with you. It's your view. And then please, but let's respect then everybody's view as we would respect your view. And let's just go back to the business and make sure that the content of this report is what we would like to present to Parliament and debate on as well. Thank you very much. You can continue, Honorable Reddy.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Yes, I have a right to express myself, to express the views of my party. And right now, I haven't talked about politics. I'm talking about the lived realities. Let's look at the report itself. The issue of the 1.4 billion rands was raised by us, by me in particular. And we then find a revelation that 1.4 billion rands was transferred in advance to the Lebalelo Water User Association. And for a project where they're anticipating getting money from the mining sector worth about 28 billion. This doesn't just require a response, it requires an investigation. I would have expected that the report would say that there is a forensic investigation that will be called upon. That's number one. Secondly, the issue of utilization of equitable shares to stabilize water boards that are failing. That was raised by the previous speaker from the ANC. Chairperson, what I want members to realize here is that it's not about adding more money. We are putting in too much of money. It's those that are responsible for spending this money. They are the ones where the problem lies. Now look at the water boards. The water boards are comprised of ANC cronies that were appointed just because of political reasons. They don't have the ability and the skills.
Honorable Reddy, I call
yes.
you out of order. Honorable Reddy, I'm calling you out of order now. Because you are driving this politically, and I'm not going to tolerate this in the committee.
All right,
We have agreed on a working mechanism. You have your view. Otherwise, we will be back 9 years of lost that slogan. And I don't want us to go there. We are responsible
I hear you. I
members
hear
of
your point.
Parliament.
Your point is
Already,
taken.
I'm on the
Your
floor.
point is taken,
I'm
yes.
on the floor and I'm chairing this meeting. You what the issues you've raised is in this report. It's not someone else raised it's in the report. If you want us to put in the report, we must call for a forensic investigation. Then we'll do that. But that is your recommendation. It's in here. If you want to amend it, let's then amend it and bring this to the committee and say, we want to amend this. This committee recommends there must be a forensic investigation. And that is what this work is of the committee. Then we are responsible members of Parliament doing an oversight role. And nobody will deny you to say, let's ask for a forensic investigation. But let's not call other people cronies. There is a lot of cronies all over the world, and they sit in all parties. They could sit in all parties. So let's focus on what we need to do. If you want to make specific recommendations, as you've mentioned now, then when we get there, you make that recommendation, ask for a forensic investigation. We put it in the report, it go to Parliament.
Thank you very much.
Can you conclude now, Honourable Member?
I will. The second issue regards the merger of Umgeni Water and Utukela Water. This needs to be reviewed. We need to get a review, and I'm hoping that at the right point we're able to do this. I'm saying that the way the boards are being managed is something that is actually resulting in a lot of wastage of money. Let's look at projects which are under investigation that has been reported to. 6.68 billion rands in IFWU expenditure, with over 5.8 billion classified as irregular. That's, of course, areas of concern. We still don't have feedback, and I think this needs to be taken up further. Issues about which are currently under investigation. The Guyani Water Project has been under discussion for a very long time. The War on Leaks program, the upgrading of the Tukela scheme, the VAL intervention, all of this requires further intervention at the committee level. It's something that we need to take up further. Chairperson, our biggest concern is that how do we address the issue of where we are spending 99% of the budget, but only achieving 62% of the targets? And if we are going to be doing things the way we did before, we come back next year, a year later, we're going to end up with the same situation. We're going to find that all this money is going in to address these problems, yet the problems are not being addressed. So there's obviously leaks in the system which needs to be fixed. I've raised the issue of the bucket system. Umgeni Water is firing at the end of this week 300 workers. 300 workers. And we are now supporting a budget that's supposed to be firing workers when we are supposed to be creating jobs. So we do not want to be creating a budget, Chairperson, that is seen to be providing a bailout for failing municipalities and failing boards. Rather, we should be investing in ensuring that these municipalities and boards are capacitated to be able to spend the money to yield better outcomes. Don't you think there will be a far better way to do things? And the way to achieve that is to ensure that those that are appointed, ultimately, when we transfer funds, we are leaving it in the hands of people who do not necessarily have the skills and the ability, and who may have been appointed for the wrong reasons, to manage these funds. That is why only 68% of targets are achieved after spending so many billions of rands. Chairperson, I'll end there, and I'll come back later if I find that there are other issues. But thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Reddy. Honorable Ramaila, and then it will be Honorable Moore.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to colleagues and officials on the platform. Chair, I might say the point I want to raise regarding the report is in as far as the so-called Badiramogo is concerned, which used to be Lebalelo Water Association. And in Tumani's report, he is indicating that Lebalelo Water Association is also providing potable water to communities of Skukuni. And I'm on record, Chair, having raised this in so many times, so several times, and I'm aware my question always gets brushed aside or thrown under the carpet. Now, I want to be given proof and list of villages, communities that are served water through Lebalelo Water Association. For only 3 years in the existence of Lebalelo Water Association, I don't know of a single village in Skukune that is benefiting from that pipeline. We're talking a pipeline of approximately 100 kilometers from Flebushelo to Tuvats. Because this was established in 2002. And the objective was to supply bulk raw water to both mines in the eastern limb of the Bushveld Igneous complex in Limpopo, that is Tuvas local municipality, and to the doorstep of communities through the Department of Water and Sanitation. And I want to be given the list of those villages, Chair. And I must raise concern. There's many issues that I've asked for, and we've been promised that the information will be provided, and it doesn't come through. They have changed a name. I learned about it last meeting when I asked a question when the Deputy Minister Masoko responded and even mentioned a new name. And I wonder whether was there a process of consultation done in as far as that is concerned, because in the association, the communities must be represented through the Skukune district municipality and the towards the local municipality. And for me, the change of name without change of character amounts to waste of money, because they still continue. Now we're talking about the new project OMM that is going to draw water from the Duop Dam. And the Duop Dam is just about 10 cases to the eastern limb. And they're taking advantage that the water is now nearer to them, and they come with this new project. And I haven't seen how communities are going to benefit. I just want to be on record so that at some point, when one wants to escalate this matter, and people must remember that they've taken an oath. Submitting inappropriate or wrong information or false information, one day people are going to account for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. We will deal with that. Honorable Moore.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for the presentation and the preparation of the reports. Chair, I'd just like to talk specifically to items on the report. I am concerned that there's inclusion of stuff that doesn't necessarily apply to the budget report vote 41. There's some recommendations that are, I think, important to members of the committee, but I don't know that necessarily need to be included in this budget report, but could be included separately, such as the 7.5, the department should provide detailed information on the board members for all CMAs. I don't think that it has anything to do with the budget and vote 41. I think obviously it's very important to the Honourable Reddy, and I think it must be included, but I don't know that it's necessary in this report. In a similar status, 7.6, citizen status of a CEO, not relevant to a budget report, vote 41. 7.7, to set up a meeting to discuss and address constituency issues from committee members. I really like this item, actually, 7.7, but again, not relevant to budget report vote 41. And 7.8, again, resolved to apply to the House Chairperson for a special meeting on the National Water Resource Industry, whatever, the agency. Again, I think these are important things. I don't know that they necessarily need to fall under this particular item. The one thing I did want to have a suggestion for as a potential additional item here is, I think we can all agree, Chair, that there's a disconnect between the budget spend and the performance. I think the performance of the entity is around 62%. And if I read the report correctly, 62% of targets were met. That's actually a decrease. So despite seeing an increase in our budget expenditure, we're seeing a decrease in targets met. And obviously, there are explanations for that, and we've got some very good detail in the report. But I wanted to suggest potentially, because we don't get good information on the projects. We know that there are projects, we know they aren't all doing well, but we don't know which projects aren't doing well. There are many, many projects. We don't have details on why specific projects aren't where they are. So I wanted to potentially put in an additional recommendation as part of this budget vote, that the committee should recommend a formal performance audit by the AGSA on whether expenditure is translated into functional delivery, particularly in terms of the RBIG and WSIG projects. I think those are critical projects which the national department intervenes in that can have a measurable difference on municipalities on the ground. And potentially we could look at piloting something like a results-based financing model in select municipalities linked to that, to say where we're having successes with projects, where municipalities are working well with the department, we can continue supporting. And when municipalities deliberately block or create problems for the projects, the money needs to flow elsewhere, because the reality is we do not have the budget in order to ensure all of our projects move forward. So potentially there could be a recommendation around there to get the best bang for buck. But my primary recommendation, Chair, other than moving the non-budget vote recommendations out of this report into a separate item, would be to say add in a recommendation for a formal performance audit by AGSA on whether expenditure is translating into functional delivery, particularly in RBIG and WSIG projects. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Moore. Honourable Tebe, can I first give Honourable Dlilanga the opportunity, and then I'll come back to you?
No problem, Chair. Thank you very much.
Honourable Dlilanga.
Thank you so much, Chair. Greetings to all the honourable members. I think first and foremost, let's welcome the report. The report is well prepared for us to be able to recommendations as part of this budget vote, which I'm happy. But what are the things that need corrected, whether it's spelling or anything? Now, the area that I think I just want to, not just to add more meat on as part of this report, is that the elephant in the room is a question of the non-revenue water management. It's important that, for instance, we getting water from Lesotho. But this question also come into being on how, for instance, those areas or municipalities that will be receiving that water will receive them as they are supposed to be received. It's an area that we need, as part of this budget vote, to speak loud and clear about it, including this question that has been raised here of the Umzimvubu budget. It's quite concerning, given that the project has been in the pipeline for a number of years, and the estimated amount needed for the actual work to be done in that area. The other area I think that we need to speak to is the area that where the minister in one of the portfolio committee meeting reported on the 106 or 104 identified municipalities for interventions. We need there to be critical of or to check whether there is an availability of the budget as part of this budget vote, even the clear plans on how that intervention will be undertaken. Otherwise, Chair, if you will ask for a hand to move for the adoption of report, I can do so. Thank you so much, Chair.
Yeah, I think there's some amendments still need to be done on this. Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Ditebe and then Honourable Reddy.
Chairperson, sorry, I needed to access my mic. Chairperson, there is a point that I wished to include on my first comment about different plans of the department, including the multilateral instruments. And I think insofar as reference is made to SDG 6, which is water and sanitation, I think if we just limit it to water and sanitation without referencing intervening and intervening intersectionality with other SDGs, it will be a mistake, because if we were, for example, to talk of ending hunger and poverty, one of the ways in which hunger, poverty manifest themselves would be, for example, in with regards to whether people have safely managed sanitation, water as they need it in the first 30 minutes, etc. So based on the presentation that was made some 2 or 3 weeks ago, there is a very clear dialectical connection between SDG 6 and the rest of the other in SDGs. So I thought for purposes of emphasis, one needs to raise that. The other one, Chairperson, I'm not certain whether this can be included in the recommendations, but I think it must be. You will remember again that for quite a while now, we have been receiving some update from the department on the bucket eradication program. And earlier on, when I made my intervention, when Honorable Reddy was on the floor, I thought that he was going to address that, because out of things that he has raised, I want to lift that because it is very relevant. For example, Chairperson, when the current weather, I want to say, when will the current projects, as far as the BEP is concerned, when will they be concluded? Because when you look at the reports, not this particular one, the other presentations, you'll be told here the contractor has been terminated and so forth. So for purposes of outcomes and impact, which is what the AGSA concerns itself with within the broad framework of the accountability ecosystem, we need to know in the same way that we would be worried about the 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. In respect here of the bucket eradication program, we cannot just have this being an ongoing program. It must also a project or program. It must be on time and within budget, and I think it must find expression in the recommendations, Chairperson. So I think those are the points that I wished to raise as far as the other issues that I did not cover fully in my recommendations earlier. I think it's all of them, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What I will do is we'll, after Honourable Reddy, we will go to the recommendations and we will add or delete. And I totally agree with you and Honourable Reddy that there must be something on the bucket eradication within this committee's recommendations. So after Honourable Reddy, we will go directly to the recommendations, and then we will add those to the recommendations and make sure that we put that on the table and present that to Parliament. Honourable Reddy.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me deal with specific proposals. The first one, I want to know if it is at all possible.
Honourable Reddy, my
Yes.
apologies. If you want to give proposals, can we then move directly to the recommendations, to Mani, and go through the recommendations, and then if you want to add something or change something, put that on the table, and then we deal with it, and then it's complete, if you allow us to do that.
No, Chair, I was not talking about that. I was just talking about the report itself and whether the following amendments could be accommodated. It's in the report. The
You're
first
welcome.
one, Chairperson, thank you very much. Can we insert a clause that requires that if there's any structural changes to any of the water boards, including mergers, that these must be based on independent technical feasibility studies and public consultation? I think the reason for this is that it will prevent the abuses like what we've seen in the Umgeni Utukela merger, which was done to rescue a failing board at the cost of jobs and financial risk to a stable entity. Chairperson, the second one, whether we could include, I'd like a response from the presenter, that include a section on what I'd call anticipated retrenchments, including justifications, socio-economic impact assessments, and plans for alternate employments. The reason for this, Chair, is that it will prevent situations like the looming retrenchment of 300 Mcinsi Holdings workers without parliamentary scrutiny. Chairperson, the next issue is an amendment to the APP that will require that any budget allocation above 100 million rands, for example, the 1.4 billion that was provided as seed capital, they must be linked to a published implementation plan. It must have timelines with measurable outcomes, and it must have procurement safeguards and risk assessments. I think this will also prevent pre-looting and will protect public money from being dumped into ghost projects. Chairperson, another issue which we picked up, it's the issue of an indicator in Program 1. We'd like to know if we could include under Program 1, administration, which requires a quarterly disclosure of overseas travel by water board members and senior officials, the costs per trip, the purpose, the class of travel, and the accommodation rating. I think this is going to add transparency and it's going to stop the abuse of public funds for luxury travel. Chairperson, the issue of employment procurement quotas for PDI groups, we think that this should be expanded and more clarity should be given because at the moment the targets seem vague. What we need is enforceable quotas, women-owned companies, a minimum of 40%, youth-owned companies, a minimum of 30%, and disabled-owned companies, minimum 7%. And what we should do is include sanctions for failure to meet these targets unless clear justifications are submitted and approved by Parliament. Because the current 17% for women and 7% for youth is really dismal, and it must not go unchallenged. Chairperson, the audit and reform, my colleague there, Dilanga, raised this, and I thought I'll concretize it in terms of making a firm suggestion on what can be included in the budget document to eradicate the bucket program, the bucket eradication program, to reform this program, the BEP. What we should do is place a moratorium on new BEP spending. And until we have a full forensic audit of the 250 million rands that was already spent. And what we need is a new implementation model that this should be adopted, where the department and not the municipalities directly oversees the delivery. And I think this is going to stop the current disaster where money is being spent, Chair, but not a single toilet is being delivered. I'm almost concluding, infrastructure grants. Now we're spending and we're allocating hundreds of millions as infrastructure grants, but there's always the risk of political interference. And what we should do is include special conditions on these grants, especially the WISIG and RBIG grants. What we require are monthly reporting on progress, community stakeholder committee oversight, and disbursements must be linked to milestone deliveries and not just blanket transfers. I get worried when I see these big block sum allocations without the details on how exactly those block sums are being utilized. I think this will also prevent funds from being used to prop up collapsed municipalities, where these funds are being diverted in other areas and not used specifically for what it was intended to be used. Chairperson, this is something that I'd like the committee to really consider, and it is the question of capping fruitless and wasteful expenditure and enforcing what we call consequence management. What I think we should do is we should include a cap, for example, 0.5% of the budget on fruitless and wasteful expenditure. When we place such a cap, then what's going to happen is we will start to deal with breaches. If there's any breach, then this must automatically trigger an SIU referral, and it must withhold performance bonuses for those accounting officers that are responsible, and it must suspend capital allocations for the next quarter. If we introduce something like that, I think we will be able to have more control over these fruitless and wasteful expenditure, because I'm sure all of us agree that this is just getting out of control, and there has to be controls in plan. For example, that 6.6 billion rand in the IFWU spending, it must have consequences. And this is the point I was trying to make, not just explanations that we find in a report. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, can I ask that we now go to the recommendations on this report? Tumani? Honourable Dikebe?
Chairperson.
Sure. Who is on the floor? The content advisor.
I just want to ask you a question, whether we can continue going there and then you make your recommendation, or is there something else you would like to discuss before we do that?
Okay, Chair. Honourable Reddy made some recommendations. Now, I don't know, you can direct us whether, as we consider all the recommendations, we're also going to consider his, because there are some that we would like to talk to, which we think that some of the things that he's raising belong elsewhere. But you direct us, Chair. I'm in your hands.
Yeah, let's go to the recommendations, and then as a committee, we will take a decision whether it belongs here. I agree with Honourable Reddy. There is some issues, and Honourable Moore, that should not be in this report. It is relevant, but it's relevant on another level that we can deal with. Tumani, can you go to the recommendations quickly?
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson. Before we go there, I think I should also indicate that, yes, it is important that some of the things that do not necessarily relate to the budget or should be captured in the minutes. So I fully concur with Honorable Moore's suggestion that those ones which he listed, we should take them to the minutes. So I think that is fine. And also, members, I fully understand that we would like to really deal with everything, but budget is just one part of the business of government. So we should be mindful that we cannot put everything here. So we need to be mindful of that, and there are limitations, and there is also legislation that governs all of these things. So we cannot bring other things and all of those things here, because we need to be mindful that government, the executive is independent, parliament is independent. So there are things that we should trade carefully in terms of how we recommend actions towards the department, because they also have the legislation to deal with issues, and there are also standards that are already that governs all these things. Like, if I may give an example of the issue around the quotas of how much business should go to women and youth and so on. There are already standards that are in the legislations that are currently existing. So we cannot come with new percentages and ratios and so on. So that is something that we should be mindful of. So I'm at your service, Chairperson, and
you can continue to recommendations quickly.
In terms of the recommendations, I'm not quite sure whether you want me to continue going through them or as they were raised by members.
No. Let's go to recommendations. We will add them now, or decide not to add them. Just one thing I want to say to Honourable Reddy is that on the fruitless and wasteful expenditure, it should be 0%, and we cannot. If we say 0.05%, it's 0%, and we should not even consider changing that. So let's start with each and every recommendations, and we can get recommendations if we want to recommend this or make some changes to the recommendations. What I want to ask firstly is we can go to 7.1. The first one is that recommendation acceptable to the committee. We will add additionals that need to be added. Is 7.1 satisfied? Everybody satisfied with that recommendation? Honourable Dictebe?
Chairperson, I'm satisfied to the extent that the department here must provide us with that report. And my understanding is in terms of the RBIC and WISIC grants. Now, we've got also grants in terms of the MIG that complement what we do through the department in WSAs. And I think, Chair, this point you yourself have raised it before, and I think we agree with you that where there needs to be collaboration between DWS and COCTA, especially insofar as a pool of grants is concerned, we need to say that. So that actual recommendation must reflect that, in my view, because if we just leave it to DWS within, if you like, the policy framework, which is COCTA's purview, we are just, lone actors. So I'm advising, Chair, that we should make some reference to collaboration with COCTA in this regard in the context of MIGs.
Okay, so would it be fine if we say that they should provide a report, a quarterly report, in consultation with COCTA and Treasury?
Yes, Chair, because obviously those Treasury disburses, and then, of course, COGTA in its own purview does something else, but we all meet at local government level. Yes, Chair.
Okay. Honorable Reddy, are you on the same
Yes.
topic?
Yes, I am. Chairperson, I'm just trying to follow the argument by Honorable Moore, where he said that some of the issues here should not really find its place within the budget 41. If we are saying that the department should provide a briefing to the committee on the intervention plans that are in place for these municipalities, why should that be specifically mentioned in the budget? Because if this is allowed there, then I believe that the question of the 1.4 billion that was transferred, that should also be specifically mentioned as well. And the other issues that Honorable Moore had said should not be part of the but I fully agree that this should be part. And of course your view about getting a quarterly report from COGTA and finance. I believe, but at the same time, I believe that when the budget was presented, issues that we raised related specifically to the budget. And it's important that those issues are captured in that budget, because this goes to a full sitting where it's going to be debated. We don't want to raise issues there and then to be ruled by someone who's not in the committee as being out of order, where these matters are not there for under discussion.
Yeah, I hear you, Honorable Reddy. Can we deal one by one and decide which go and which don't go? Can I ask that we all agree that some of them needs to be somewhere else, but what I want to ask is if the department should provide a quarterly report to the committee on the intervention plan that are placed on the 105 municipalities. The department, in consultation with COGTA and National Treasury, should that be in order, Honorable Moore?
Chair, I think it's an important inclusion because a significant portion of the budget, the Vote 41 document, refers to the challenges at a municipal level, the intervention in the 105, and let's just double check in terms of municipalities. I don't think it's 105 municipalities. I think it's water use associations or whatever the case is. Let's make sure we're including it correctly in the recommendation. But I think that that's a very key issue with regards to the functionality and the spend of the budget. And so knowing about those plans ties directly into the greatest threat to the national water issue in terms of a variety of places within the budget document that are looking at interventions. So I do think this has a place, a modified version maybe, but this particular one should be included because I do think it talks to the core issue in the budget and getting information out that'll help us to monitor the success of the budget as we move forward. Thank you.
Chairperson, I raised my hand, wanted to, if you don't mind, I don't know, I want to speak still to the first point. I don't know if you allow me, Chair.
Yeah, please continue and make your recommendation on the revised document.
Chairperson, I think, okay, you've made a very correct intervention, Chair, there, and the content advisor then will phrase it so that the flow of that first recommendation is in line with our recommendations, but also in line with legislation. Chair, on the number of water service authorities, municipalities that are in a critical state, let's just remind one another. It's 144, and out of 144, it's 105 that are listed. Members will remember that these 105 municipalities, in a report in previous sittings of the committee, were actually listed one by one per province. And that's how we come to the 105. The Deputy Minister, Second Deputy Minister, Selosi Tulo, also referenced that in the last meeting of the Portfolio Committee. And obviously it was after the issue of the pollution of the rivers, the river health and so forth. So there is no confusion about that. So your intervention is quite correct. So let's move from that point to the next one. Chair, if I may say this,
Can I
you know,
ask-
you
Continue. Sorry, my
talking
apology.
on the second, I'm talking just on, you know, how the meeting is run. You are very tolerant, you are very lenient, but I think you must not be taken advantage of, Chair. Even as we sit in this committee, disorderly conduct or disorderly behavior by any of the members should be utterly discouraged. It cannot be that when you direct us to speak on a specific recommendation, having made our interventions, you gave us all the time, and another member still wants to speak in general terms, opposing or whatever, making an intervention on what another member said. At the point of us making general comments and recommendations, you are directing us as the chair to speak to the first recommendation. And that's what we should limit ourselves to.
Thank
As you
you,
can see,
Honourable.
I'm not
Thank
even
you,
on
Honourable
7.2.
I
Please, Chair.
appreciate that. I don't want to get into a dialogue around this now. I want to conclude with 7.1. Can I ask, is there another view on 7.1, Honourable Ramaila?
Thank you, Chair. I do agree with it. My view would be that I think the point that has been added is a point that has to do with monitoring and evaluation, reporting on quarterly basis. But remember, this question we raised in previous meetings, asking them to come and present the intervention plan to the portfolio committee. I think it should still stand as is, but what we can add for a monitoring and evaluation tool is that would also ask them to be able to present this report on quarterly basis as a monitoring tool.
All right, thank you very much. Tamani, you've got that?
Yes, Chairperson, I've captured it. Yeah.
Okay, can we go to 7.2? Can we leave that in or should that go? Honourable Moore?
Chair, if we can just correct the English, the committee recommends that the department should prioritize to support or assist a few. So that add the before department and a few, just English for clarity's sake, and assist a few municipalities of period to ensure efficient and effective use of scarce resources provided and provide a prioritization report. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Reddy?
To get into a dialogue. I don't want to get into a dialogue, but I really find the comments by Honourable...
Honourable Reddy, I also stopped Honourable
Itebe
on the matter. Yeah, so I really don't want to get into
He must
dialogue.
stay in his lane. He must just stay in his lane. Yeah. Let's deal with 7.2. Let's deal with 7.2. I'm not intimidated by him at all. 7.2, Chairperson. This is really a bit of concern. It's a major concern to us because the issues with these failing municipalities is not only a responsibility of water and sanitation. It is COCTA, and the main cause of the failure of these municipalities to perform its functions is simply because of poor management, lack of skills, poor leadership, and all of that. And we are not in a position to deal with those endemic issues that's confronting failing municipalities in the country. It's just not the 105. There's many more. So my concern, Chairperson, are you stopping me?
Honourable Reddy, sorry for the interruption. All I wanted just to say to you is that this is in connection with water and our big funds that is utilized at the municipalities should not the management of the municipalities, but of the water sector. That's what's been meant here.
And thank you very much, Chairperson. And I'm referring specifically to that. The problem is that if we look at prioritizing support for few municipalities, it's not going to help us, because I believe that this problem is far wider than all of that. It's not just about, it's about the ability of the municipalities to be able to perform simple things like financial management, project management. They lack those skills. Are we then saying that we want to now assist them in performing their local government functions, which I don't think is our responsibility?
Honorable Reddy, I hear you, but I'm coming back to say that this is in response to using the RBIC funds to manage those municipalities where they don't have technical skills to upgrade a water purification plant, that the department should prioritize and support these municipalities so that we can account to that money, that it's not been wasted. I think the committee has agreed on that so far. I haven't heard, I hear your point, but I think you want to pull it through to the municipality. We are concerned about the funds that the department makes available for these municipalities, that is prioritized, and those municipalities that don't have the skills, that we could send in our construction unit or our water boards or whatever the case may be, to assist them to spend that money to fix the infrastructure on behalf of that municipality to serve the community much better. All right, then for that, I think we are on agreement. 7.3.
Chair, sorry.
Sorry, Honorable Moore.
Sorry, Chair. Having listened to just the way you've been talking about this item, I'm afraid I don't think 7.2 has enough clarity on what we're asking. The committee recommends that the department should prioritize to support or assist a few municipalities. Which municipalities? How are we prioritizing which municipalities? What is the nature in which we should be supporting? And I understand what you've said, Chair, but it isn't in the recommendations. And I think there's an opportunity to provide some of the clarity you've been saying in this meeting into this. Maybe we could just bulk up this recommendation to prioritize the municipalities that were identified for intervention by National Treasury, or the worst. It's just, we need more than, because this is very open-ended, and I think we need that clarity included in a formal resolution of the committee. Thank you, Chair.
Fine, I agree with you. So, Tamani, you've got the gist of it, that it is those municipalities that's been identified as got no skills. You must remember this 105 municipalities. There are some skills, but the money is not spent correctly. Then there are, out of that 105 municipalities, there are also municipalities that they've got no technical skills to do that work. So would you change that recommendation so that it defines much better what we are talking about?
Chairperson. Yeah, we are referring to dysfunctional municipalities, but I will rephrase it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Ditebe, and then Honorable Reddy.
Chair, thank you very much. I don't know if the following addition would further clarify this particular recommendation. If we were to, for example, say, as per the presidential Operation Vulindlela intervention, and you will know, Chair, that, for example, in terms of the two metros, Johannesburg, Joburg Metro and eThekwini, the intervention there is to make, among others, available to make available skills to those particular municipalities so that they can have water and sanitation issues, etc., can be dealt with, but looked at very broad. And the Deputy President has been assigned to deal with that. So you may have, for example, 60 municipalities, etc., and I know where Honorable Reddy is coming from, but my understanding, just so that his fears are assuaged, because I would also have same fears if we say just a few municipalities. This is actually done on a sampling basis to say these are the ones that are very critical, with so many population, with so much of the populace in this or that area. And in that way, Chair, the Operation Vulindlela intervention, the presidential one, then should intersect with the recommendations that we make. And in that way, it covers the 105 municipalities. So if we were to say, as per the presidential Operation Vulindlela intervention, then it covers everything. The reason I raised my hand earlier was to speak on 7.3, Chair, but because colleagues raised points about 7.2, then I thought I should just assist in further solidifying that. But on 7.3, Chair, it's just, I think, a very tiny one.
Chair, order.
Let's quickly.
Who is chairing, Honorable Reddy? Who is
Honorable
chairing?
Reddy,
That is
please,
Rule
let's-
69 of the rules,
Honorable
disorderly
Reddy.
conduct, and you've been
Honorable Reddy.
grotesquely guilty of that.
I really give you ample time. I have never denied you, but don't interrupt when we are busy. I really plead with you. There's no progress in that. I want to go back to 7.2 quickly. The
Thank you.
additions that Honorable Ditebe now made clarifies where this 105 comes from, as well as those top 10. I even asked the President a question last week on that in Parliament, and that we could maybe, the Deputy President, we can add that into Mani. Would that satisfy everybody, Honorable Reddy?
Chairperson, on 7.2, I raised my hand there as a point of order because Honorable Ditebe went to 7.3 when you as a chairperson said we're dealing with 7.2.
I wanted to stop him and then you interfered. Sorry.
My apologies, my humble apologies. Chairperson, let's go to 7.2. Now, I agree with Honorable Moore, and this is the point I wanted to raise, that it's the way it's framed right now, it's too vague. And what happens is the crooked official, I don't like to believe we've got crooked officials, but the crooked official loves these kinds of generalized statements. So what I would like is for us to put in a clause, if Tumani can make a note of this, put in a clause that the committee would get a report. Let's first get a report that will detail things like the specific municipalities that will be identified, and the specific interventions, the cost of those interventions, and how the intervention is going to be managed. I think if we can get that, so then it allows us a leeway to be able to have a stopgap mechanism that the committee then will get a further report detailing the specifics, and we can engage on that further. I'm worried that if we leave it like this, then it's going to be another hold.
We're going to change it. There is a report. The Deputy President chairs that committee that presented this report. And I think, as Honorable Ditebe has indicated, if we refer to this report, that is where the 105 municipalities has been identified, as well as those municipalities that is the worst municipalities. So if we can incorporate to say that in accordance with that report, then it clarifies and it takes away this situation of few municipalities, because it could be few period. Honorable Ditebe, your hand is it old hand?
No, Chair, it's not an old hand. The reason I said I raised my hand was so that I could make an intervention on 7.3. So I was not out of order at all, but we were struggling with the phrasing of that particular recommendation in 7.2. Chair, you are quite right. You are
Can we
absolutely
conclude?
right. Can we then maybe proceed to 7.3 with your permission?
No, Honourable, let's first conclude on 7.2, please, and then we can go to 7.3. The recommendation that you've made that we should include that portion of the report where the Deputy President, that will make it 100% clear what that we mean there. Honourable Moore, your hand is up on that same point.
No, Chair. I'm sorry, I hesitate to raise the issue, but in
Please
some
do.
form of desperation, please. Two of our members, Chair, are every comment has a go at the other member, and it is delaying the process. This is one of our reports. We've got another report, and then we've got 2 sets of minutes to get through. And I don't want to squash anyone or get involved in the issues between the two, because they need to be able to resolve. But at the same time, we have the business of the day. We've got 8 recommendations to work our way through. We're hoping to add some more from what I understand from some of the colleagues, or at least to discuss them. Please, colleagues, if we can try and work together to get through this report, to produce the best report that we can, and focus on the work rather than this. And I do say, Chair, I'm sorry, I hesitate to get involved in this at all, but at the same time, we've got work to do. Thank you.
Totally agree with you. And colleagues, I really now request both of you, Honourable Ditebe and Honourable Reddy, let's respect this. I'm not going to allow this because now it's irritating everybody, and that should not be. I like the recommendation of Honourable Ditebe to be put in there. Tumani, can you put that portion in there as well? To clarify
Noted, Chairperson.
point 2.
Chair,
I'll
please
come
note.
to you now, Honourable Reddy. I'll
Please
come to you
note,
now.
note my objection. Thank you.
You can object at the end of the report, Honourable Reddy. Everybody will have the opportunity. Can you add that on for me, please, Tumani?
Yes, it's noted, Chairperson.
Thank you very much.
I'm making the
Can we now go to 7.3? Honourable Ditebe, now it's your opportunity.
Thank you, Chair. I've been making very constructive contributions, and I don't think I should be compared to the other person. I've helped this
Honourable
meeting very
Ditebe,
well.
no, please,
Chair,
don't
please.
go there.
Now, I'm saying, Chair, my
I'm
point
trying to
is
be
on
patient,
7.3.
but this
No.
honourable member continues to engage in
Honourable
petty
Reddy, Honourable
issues.
Reddy,
But
you're not
stop
on the
this.
floor. Honourable
Chair,
Reddy,
I'm
you are
on
not on the
7.3.
floor.
I'm on 7.3, Chair. I'm referring here to the TCTA to the extent that it will soon be phased out. Shouldn't we, at the end of that TCTA, of course, which is in full, then say TCTA/NWRIA, because insofar as the act that governs the new entity has been assented to by the president, and next year that entity will be established. So if we just refer to the TCTA there with the Auditor General, I'm fine. I'm just asking whether our content advisor would like to comment on that, because as per the report, the TCTA will have its place taken by the NWRIA. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Tumani?
Thank you, Chairperson. As it stands now, the entity is not yet established, so we cannot use it or expect any response from it because it's not yet established. So once it's established, then when maybe in the process of transition, then we can start using it interchangeably with TCTA.
And then maybe we can just say that next week there will be a presentation. We brought that forward on the new entity and how this will fit into each other. Honourable Ditebe, are you satisfied as that we leave it as is?
Yeah, Chair, it's fine. We can leave it as it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other member on 7.3? If not, then we go ahead. 7.4, I believe that should be in the minutes. It should not be in this report. Can I get comments from other members? Honourable Moore?
Sorry, Chair, microphone problem. My only recommendation here, because I am very interested in the Mkomazi water project, is that potentially this needs to be a more holistic request, because there are a variety of specific questions. So either if it would be possible to rework this into provide information, including the rollout implementation plan on various projects, although because Chair, let me take a step back. My one concern is that we don't know what's happening with a variety of these projects. I've mentioned it when I first spoke at the very beginning, when I gave my suggestions around items to remove and add in. And that's why I gave the recommendation around the AGSA report, because to be honest with you, we do need to know what's happening. In the same way we need to know what's happening in the Lesotho Highlands project, there are very many real challenges with the Mkomazi water project and a variety of other projects. And I don't know what the right way is to capture it in this report, because if we listed them each one by one. Obviously, the Lesotho Highlands is different. It's a multinational or a bilateral project. It's the biggest water project in the country. I get that, but there reaches a stage where there's a lot of projects we need information on, and I'm asking you, Chairperson. I'm not sure how best to include this, whether to include them as separate line items or to have a comprehensive item that speaks to a variety of issues, because Mkomazi is a critical project in KZN. It's a critical project as part of trying to resolve the eThekwini water problems, but as are a number of other projects for their local areas. And I'd love to see something included that gets more clarity on the general state of projects rather than a specific project. But again, if there needs to be a specific project mentioned, this is a good one. I just wanted to say, I'm not sure how best to capture it, but I think as part of our oversight, as part of our budget spend, we need more information on the projects, because the projects are a huge portion of the budget and a huge portion of the problems in the department. Thank you, Chair.
I want to make a suggestion that we change the department must provide quarterly reports on all major projects, multi-year projects, to the committee. Would that be fine if we say that not should, they must provide quarterly reports on the implementation plans of all projects funded by the Department of Water and Sanitation? Honourable Moore?
I like
Would
that,
that-
Chair. I think the wording could be played with a tiny bit, but I mean, I think that because maybe we must say capital projects, but the way you've said it, the department must provide detailed information or a quarterly report on all projects funded by the department, and maybe specifically say including WSIG and RBIG, just so we can be as clear as day. I think that would be a major step forward for our committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We can. You've got that wording, Honourable Reddy. Do you agree?
Chairperson, I fully agree with that. I think, but my only concern is at the beginning you said whether this should be made part of the minutes. Now, I want to place what the process that we are going through in its context. When this was presented to us, members, we all raised issues about the APP. And this is in response to what we raised. So I don't believe that this should just be placed as part of the minutes. It should be included in this comprehensive report that would be going to Parliament. It then shows that we are addressing the legitimate concerns raised by the committee. Now, I fully support the proposal by yourself and Honourable Moore that the should be replaced with the word must, and we can specify all projects, reports to come through. You know, of interest, do you know that the Mkomazi program, for example, tenders are already being adjudicated on the project, and tenderers are already believing that they've got the contracts. So it makes you think whether we are steps ahead or steps behind. Thank you.
See, Honourable Member, if this is in the minutes, it does not, then it's two different things. Specifically on the Nkumati Mazi project, we want a report within 14 days. And that is important. But it is also important that we get a report on all the projects that's been done by the department. Honourable Ditebe?
The chairperson, quite frankly, how much progress we make in this meeting depends entirely on our individual conduct and how you react to that. I think if we talk to recommendations, let's just make the recommendation and not say too many other unnecessary things. Chair, I'd like to agree that we say must, and then the quarterly reports would include medium to multi-year projects, and that covers everything. Of course, there will still be reference to something of this nature or other issues in the minutes so that we make progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we deal with it that way? Temani?
Yes, Chairperson. Is this one now
you.
going to the minutes or it's staying here?
That one goes to the minutes, but we change that to all projects must.
Yes, I'm going to now replace it with the one that includes the quarterly
This
report.
project, this will not exclude the department to give us this report. If it goes to the minutes and we approve the minutes today, they will have to give us a report on this project within 14 days.
Noted. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honourable Reddy?
Chairperson, I need some clarity here, maybe from a point of ignorance, but we're dealing with recommendations now. We're not dealing with the minutes here. We're dealing with recommendations on issues that were raised by members, myself and others included, and responses from the department. And we are now asking that these be included in the report. Why is it that there's a suggestion now that this must be removed from here and placed as a minute? Because then we just seem to be defeating the purpose behind engaging on the report that's Budget 41.
Can I explain that we don't, by changing the words, we are not taking this out. We are including, but we are including everything. But we also then put this in the minutes because we requested a report within 14 days from the department. By taking it out here, will not give the department the opportunity not to give us a report within 14 days. So even this report or this project will be reported on a quarterly basis, but we as a committee also want the department to give us a report on this within the next 14 days. So that is why we say that this portion should just roll out directly into the minutes and replace it so that this project will be included with all other projects that we get a report on a quarterly basis. I think that is the main reason why we do this. I think we've agreed on 7.4, 7.5.
Chair?
Yes, Honourable Moore.
Chair, this is along with my other recommendations. I think this is an easy item for us to move to the minutes. Same with, and I'd like to propose it in a thing to say, same with 7.6. We'll still get those reports, and I understand the committee needs them, but I don't think they need to be in this report. Same with 7.7, same with 7.8, and I understand that we're doing them item by item, but I'd like to, for the case of brevity on the meeting, propose that from 7.5 to 7.8, they be made committee resolutions in the minutes as opposed to this included in this specific report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Let's continue one by one. Honourable Ditebe, 7.5.
Chairperson, look, I agree with Honorable Moore, except just on one particular issue. The functionality of the CMAs is an important part of our oversight work. So those specifics that he is citing in the recommendations, I agree that they must be excised. But there must be a broad to the department providing a report on the functionality of the CMAs, especially in the context of those having been rationalized from about 9 or whatever higher number to 6, if you remember. And there were all sorts of issues about jurisdiction and so forth. So I think that broad statement, as far as the department reporting, is important, as I conclude, Chair, so that we also improve our understanding of the rationale for the existence of the CMAs vis-a-vis the water boards, for example. And I think if we do that, then it will help us. But all other things, I agree with him. Those specifics should then be excised and consigned to the minutes. Thanks.
Would you like to make a recommendation on 7.5 on how we change it? Because we will still, in our minutes, have this. It was a request by the committee that this should be given to us. But would you then agree that we say the department must provide quarterly reports on the performance of or the progress on water on the CMAs, something like that?
Yes, Chair. The functionality broadly with, in this instance, the efficacy and effectiveness of the CMAs. So yes, that report by the department on a quarterly basis be provided so the content advisor can phrase that in line with what you are saying and what I'm saying. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Ramaila.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with it. But I'm sure to reflect in the minutes, there were specific questions that I asked with regard to the CMA that operates in the area of Skukune. And the response was that I'll get the written response, but also that I'll be engaged separately. And I even requested for as long as that will not fall through the cracks. And I'm not sure whether the minute is capturing that very well. But the point I wanted to add in as far as CMAs are concerned, which is of concern as well, given the historical challenge that these CMAs have been facing, is the financial sustainability. I want us to also put a point there that will include the department proving the future financial sustainability of these CMAs.
Thank you. I agree with you on that. Honorable Moore, can I just ask Temani quickly? Temani, you would include that, you will take out this report, but will not, should, must provide quarterly report on the progress and the financial sustainability of the CMAs. You will reword that, and then this will go to the minutes. Honorable Moore.
Chair, exactly what you've just said. I just wanted to differentiate. I support the quarterly report on the CMAs. It was good that we had the presentations we've had, but from memory, within the minutes, I think they captured. But to say this was something that was specifically requested, so we need to make sure we don't get rid of this item, but just move it to the minutes as you've now proposed. Thank you.
This goes to the minute, but we replace it with another item. Right, Temani, you've got that?
Yes, it's noted, Chairperson.
Thank you. 7.6. Can we remove that one to the minutes?
Supported.
counter view. Honorable Ramaila.
Oh, sorry, Chair, it's Eliga's hand. I'm sorry, my apology.
Okay, thank you. There's no counter on that. 7.7. Can we move that as well? Honorable Ditebe.
Chair, I agree that we excise that, and if you permit me, we do the same with 7.8 because it's a procedural issue. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We remove those then to money. Can we now add? Can we now please add? I think there was the one on the bucket toilets. Can we have that? How would we word that? Honorable Reddy, you and Honorable Ditebe agreed on something today, and that is the bucket eradication. Should we put in here that we want a comprehensive report on the bucket eradication, timeframes, money spent, and the allocated budget to be completed? Something in that line, would that be suitable? Honorable Ditebe?
Chairperson, the department must provide a comprehensive regular update on the implementation of the bucket eradication program because it's already started. So with all the elements that you have cited, then that should tell us when is this being, when are these projects being completed? So it must be underscored by this on time, with time and within budget. So it would therefore not make sense to then put a moratorium on that. Otherwise, it will result in fruitless and wasteful expenditure because contractors would have been appointed already, etc. So I agree with you. A comprehensive regular update on the implementation of the BEP.
Okay, but regular should be quarterly. Otherwise, regular could be every 6 months or every year. So we've got to give a time frame every 6 months. Should we say that they should supply us with a report every 6 months on this, a half-year report on this? And I agree with you that if you stop the project now, we're denying the community to have better services, and if that's been seen that we as a committee stop projects where we want to eradicate buckets and now we stop it, we could be seen as not assisting the people out there. Honorable Moore?
Chair, I really like this amendment by Honorable Ditebe. I think every 6 months is fine because this is a long-term project, largely of capital nature. But I just want to say we are owed a report on this already. So the report that's coming mustn't now be delayed for 6 months or something. We must get that report. And then in 6 months' time, we must get another report. And in 6 months after that, another report more regularly. But we are owed a report, and this mustn't be an excuse not to provide it to us in the short term. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so can I ask that we, in the next term, we want a report and then it should be every 6 months. Would that be fine? Honorable Moore?
Chairperson, I have my hand raised.
I'll come to you now, Honorable Reddy. Is that fine, Honorable Moore?
I, as long as supported by the committee, Chair, I'm happy with that.
Okay, Honorable Reddy?
Chairperson, I think we need to agree that we're all not going to agree on everything. I mean, let's accept that and let's move on from there in the interest of time. For example, I've made a point about the issue of the bucket eradication program, and obviously the committee doesn't agree with me, and I accept that. So it's by a majority. So I think what you should do is you should say by a majority. Let's accept that we're not going to be agreeing on everything. There won't be consensus on everything. So on this matter, I disagree, and I'll record that, and we can move on.
Okay, it's fine. So, Tumani, you've got the gist of that bucket eradication report in the next quarter. So we'll put that on the program, and then after that, it should be every 6 months. Tumani?
Noted, Chairperson.
Any other points that you would like to add to these recommendations?
Chair, we aren't done yet.
I didn't hear you quite well, Honourable Moore.
Chair, we've just completed 7.6. I think we still need to do 7.7 and 7.8.
No, that we agreed, Honourable, that we will remove all of them.
Okay. My apologies, Chair.
Chair, that was by majority. I
Yeah.
disagree. Thank you.
Oh, I understand that. Honourable colleagues, members, are there any other recommendations that we would like to add? Honourable Moore?
Chair, just to reiterate, I would like to recommend a formal performance audit by AGSA on whether expenditure is translating into functional delivery of the projects, particularly in RBIG and WSIG projects. This would be separate from the quarterly reporting from the department. This would be a separate matter where we get an external view on, like I say, to be clear, the functional delivery, a performance audit. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable members, can we add that to the report? Is there anybody that disagree that the AG must report on this? This will assist us on the 99% money spent and 63% performance. So that is, Honourable Reddy also spoke on that, and Honourable Moore. So, Tumani, you've got that. You will add that in. Honourable Dithebe?
Noted, Chairperson.
Yeah, Chairperson, before Tumani adds that, we did say that there are certain specific roles that are performed by a number of entities, in this instance, a Chapter 9 institution. Now, ordinarily, in terms of the entire cycle, the Auditor General would do that. Sometimes we have, for example, the SIU, investigating something of that nature. So, is it prudent for us to put something in here that otherwise, in the course of the work of a particular entity, such as a Chapter 9 institution, would be done anyway? Because I'm not sure whether we need to put it in here, because this should be part and parcel of our oversight. But I cannot see the Auditor General not auditing anything that's in line with the mandate of the Auditor General as a supreme audit institution. Perhaps if Honourable Moore could explain his particular inclusion here, so that we understand whether it's in line with our understanding. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable Moore?
Thank you, Chair. And I really appreciate the addition here, because it's advanced my thinking. You're right. The Auditor General does have a look. I'm really looking at a way of getting an idea on the performance of our projects, to try and get an idea of, to keep it simple, the bang for buck on our projects, because this is an area where I don't feel our committee is succeeding at doing extensive oversight, is particularly being able to understand which of our projects are working and are not working. But the Honourable Dithebe is right, the Auditor General is supposed to already do this. So maybe then it could be a recommendation that a formal a presentation from AGSA on the performance of the projects funded by the Department of Water and Sanitation, particularly in RBIG and WSIG projects, be done. Maybe a modification of the suggestion. I'm just looking for us to get an alternate view on the success of the projects, because we need to find methods as part of the massive spending that's happening and the need to spend. We don't have enough money for the projects that we are spending, Honorable Dutebe. So the money that we do have needs to be spent as well as we can do, and trying to find different avenues to get a view on how those projects are doing and the success rate of the projects, I suppose, is my motivation. And that's why maybe a presentation on their current audit findings on our projects or something like that would be a better addition, just so we've got an outside view. I hope that clarifies it a bit. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, if that is the view, then it won't be necessary to put it in here. We can just invite them to come and make us that presentation. Honorable Moore?
That does make sense, and I can agree with that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Then we'd leave that out. Honorable Ramaila?
Thank you, Chair. I agree with your conclusion. However, as that happens, I'm not sure whether will be overreaching. Chair could have an access to the management letter that the department has received, if already, from AGSA. Because in the management letter, normally what happens, AGSA points to areas of focus that they want the department to explain certain things to them before they can even decide whether that's going to be a finding or not a finding. And normally, what departments will do in this regard will take a posture of protecting themselves by not aligning with the recommendations in the management letter. So that's why I'm saying, without overreaching, is it possible to access the management letter so that we know what we are really dealing with, which has been referred to the management to deal with issues? I'm not sure, but if we could have access, that could be helpful to this committee. Thank you.
Thank you. We can surely we can ask. I will write a letter. Colleagues, it seems that that is the recommendations. What I will request is with the amendments of these recommendations that I put this report to the committee. Tumani, would you like to add before the committee takes a decision on this report?
Yes, Chairperson, the issue around the Auditor General, the norm is that before we deal with the annual report every year, we call the department, the AGSA, to brief us on the audit outcomes. That includes the performance audit. So in that request, we can include the request for them to share with us the management letter that they would have sent before they conducted the audit or during the course of the audit. So that will be covered there. So, so I think, so the committee has taken a correct decision there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, members, that is the report. Can I get a proposer to accept this report? Honorable Moore?
Proposed, Chairperson.
Can I have a seconder? Honorable Dutebe? Honorable Dutebe?
Chair, I second Honorable Moore. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any Honorable Reddy?
Thank you, Chair. Please record our objection. Thank you.
Right, we've got that. Any other objections to the report? If none, then this report has been accepted with the Honorable Reddy not supporting this report. His party not supporting the report. Thank you very much. Let's move to the next report quickly. Tumani, can I get the next report, please?
Yes, I'm uploading. Okay.
Jay Stadig.
Okay. Yeah, I've flighted the report. Are you seeing the quarterly report there? Just confirm, Chairperson, please. Yeah, that's the fourth quarter report. I will quickly go through it. We have dealt with this, I think, on the 3rd of June. We will change that report once it's adopted today, then we'll change it. Just section 2 deals with the overview of the strategic water sector interventions by the department. Those are the things that they are doing. The support to municipalities, as it is indicated there. This is the support that they are doing to various municipalities across the country. And then section 2.2, legislative funding and institutional reforms that the department is currently doing or involved in. They indicated that the water services amendment bill is ready for cabinet consideration. So which means that is closer to be tabled here in Parliament once that process is concluded. And also the issue of National Treasury reform of Metropolitan Trading Services Program, as well as the Operation Vulinka Elevation 2, which is the department is also involved in, which we have also reflected on during this budget review as well. And section 2.3, water and sanitation in Dala. So that is another event that the department held, which really was about to identify measures to realize the water-related priorities of the 7th administration, as well as to provide solutions to the current challenges in the water sector. So there are a couple of number of issues there that we have reflected upon, and the issue around anti-pollution forum, which the department has established, which seeks to pilot the polluter pays principle, and that is insofar as the strategic issues or interventions that the department is currently doing. Then section 3 deals with the fourth quarter expenditure report. And if we look at table 1, it's a comparative analysis of the fourth quarter reports that dates back up to 2021 financial year. Then you can see in terms of budget spent, in terms of that, then the department performance has improved because now they are able to spend almost the entire budget. And insofar as target is concerned, you can see there is some sort of renege in terms of the performance as for the year under review. They achieved 62%. So that is a cause for concern. But this, we should note that it's unaudited, the findings for this year. So, but we'll see when they table the annual report whether this is the true reflection of their current performance. And that is just the explanation of the performance and what is going on. And the actual quarter 4 for the year under review, as you can see, program 1, actual achievement, it's 50% of the targets, and the budget spent, it's 99.2%, and areas of underperformance, they are listed there together with the strategies to overcome areas of underperformance. So this is something that the department is doing. I think it's commendable because obviously they identified where they did not perform, and then they indicate how they intend to recover from that poor performance. And program 2, 65% achieved of targets, budget spent 99.9%, and program 3, 70% achieved of targets, and 99.9% achieved. So you can see the under program 1 is the one that is performing averagely compared to the other programs. So in total, then that is 62%. That is on average. and in terms of the budget spent, it's just shy of 100%. So that is, in a nutshell, the performance for the Q4. And insofar as irregular, fruitless, and wasteful and unauthorized expenditure is concerned, it's summarized in this table. Then you can see as the year for main account, it was 5.4 billion. But we should also note that this is not for this year only, but it's because this is cumulative, so it's from way back, as far back as 2017. So that is the issue. But of course, there are processes that are currently underway in terms of addressing the irregular expenditure and unauthorized expenditure as well. So that's why it continues to be reflected here, but it's not incurred during the year under review. And as far as water trading entities concerned, it's 1.2 billion, and that puts us at 6.6 billion insofar as all these expenditures are concerned. But the big one is the irregular expenditure, which stood at 5.8 billion. So that is including those irregular expenditures from the 2017 up to 2019, somewhere there. So that is an old irregular expenditure, as currently the department is doing well in terms of dealing with issues of irregular expenditure. Then that brings us to Section 4, Committee Observations and the department responses. We follow the same pattern here in terms of the question and as well as the answer. So the committee acknowledged the historical nature of the irregular expenditure, however, raised the concern with respect to slow pace of investigations and the consequence management, and requested more information on some of the affected projects, such as desalination plant in Richards Bay, War on Leaks, and Guyana Water Project. And there is the response that they have provided, and details on this. We also referred to the presentation itself, which they had indicated that they've provided more information on some of these projects. And in terms of achieved targets versus expenditure, the concern here is noted that there is a seam of disjuncture between achieved targets as well as expenditure. And for an example, the issue around the bucket toilets, this was the one that was highlighted or used as an example, that they have remained at 10,798 since 2023, while the budget is being spent. But the department indicated here that the issue around that is that the budget that they allocated is to provide the bulk sewer systems, because before you eliminate that, you replace the bucket toilet, then you need to have the infrastructure that will take away the sewer that would be generated from those toilets. So that is the reason behind the expenditure without any bucket toilet being eradicated. Vacancy rate, the vacancy rate stood at 40%, which was way above by 30%. And they indicated in terms of the answer that they are implementing a new structure, which was approved 18 months ago. And they continue to fill that structure as time goes on. So that is the reason behind that. But of course, they have indicated that they have now started earnestly implementing the new structure, but also they are hamstrung by the lack of funding, which now they are also relying on those employees who are retiring. Then they use that money to fill these positions of engineers and scientists. Eradication of bucket toilet systems. This one also talks about the issue around the monies that was spent, and also the issues around BEP or bucket eradication programs in other areas, for an example, Mangaung, and so on and so forth. So the department provided a response there that The reason for poor performance is multifaceted, as well as because it relates to independent contractors that are appointed by municipalities. But the department continues to engage and to assist these municipalities to find solutions to fast track the process, and also indicated that there are some programs that are being investigated by the SIU and SAPS in this regard. 4.5, wastewater pollution and illegal discharge of waste into a water resource. This relates to Allen Ridge Pen, which the department indicated that there was a concern that the mayor had undertaken to contribute towards the rehabilitation of this pen, but unfortunately, that funding did not materialize. And the department indicated that as the regulator, they are not necessarily involved in the actual undertaking of the work, but they work as a regulator and also assist municipalities in terms of refurbishing wastewater treatment infrastructure. And they went on to explain the work that they are doing elsewhere with regard to addressing issues of sewage pollution. And insofar as Mangaung is concerned, the provincial director for department also provided some feedback in terms of the interventions that they are doing in Mangaung and pertaining to Allen Ridge Pen in Machabeng. Then they have indicated that so far the department has spent 12 million to address wastewater challenges, and but that is not enough, and they continue to seek co-funding with Machabeng. But however, they indicated issue of informal settlements as well that is being developed or established in waterlogged areas, which is in the purview of the Department of Human Settlements that deals with the issues of relocation. 4.6, amendment of the National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency. The committee requested an update on the amendment of this legislation, and the update was that the amendment is with us. Currently, it's under advertisement for public comments, which lapses on the 15th of July. So very soon we'll be collating that and then moving on with the process of processing that. Poor performing contractors, and there was an issue around that, and the department indicated that contractors are appointed by municipalities, and the department also is working with municipalities to appoint competent contractors and also assist with the issues when there are delayed projects, so that then the provincial heads are also involved in terms of trying to unblock some of these projects where there are issues of delays. 4.8, water use licenses, authorizations. There were issues around observations that committee made that there is an issue around the target of 80%, which was not met. And a case in point, there were farmers in the Waterberg region in Limpopo who complained that it takes too long for them to get response in terms of their applications and so on. And the department went on to give completion rates in Limpopo province, in particular as of 26 May 2025, where the completion rate stood at 76%. And they indicated that there's only 6 water use license applications that are in the backlog list relating to the HDI or small scale users. And they indicated that the delay sometimes is because the applications lack information or they are incomplete, and that delays the process. But however, the Director General indicated that his door, his office is open to receive inquiries where there are delays, and he will endeavor to address them as soon as he receives them. And also we were referred to the EULAS, an electronic system that provides updates on the water user use license applications. So that is a web-based, which is available or that accessible by anyone who wants to check updates on licenses. Job opportunities, there were questions around breakdown of job opportunities, and the department undertook to provide a report in this regard. I hope that report is in the way, or it has already been submitted. We'll have to check. The role of the National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency, the committee requested clarity on this, and the department indicated that the NWRA will be responsible for development management of national water infrastructure, while water boards will continue to assist municipalities with provision of water services. In fact, the water board's mandate is clearly stated in the Water Services Act, while the NWRA it's in the new legislation that we recently passed. And the 4.11 quality of performance reporting. The committee observed with concern the lack of detail in some of these targets that they could only receive after asking questions. For example, the number of data days. There was an issue that in the third quarter, they were reported as 169, but in the fourth quarter, the days had increased to 489. And this mathematically did not make sense because there are only less than 100 days in a quarter. So the department tried to explain, but so in other words, in this regard, the committee recommended that the quarterly performance reporting should include footnotes or explanatory notes so that anyone that reads these reports is able to make sense of the information. So that is the recommendation that was made with regard to quarterly performance reporting, because they indicated apparently that data's days, there is some mathematical formula that they use. That's why it's like that. But anyway, they will provide that information in due course. And resolutions, the committee made 9 resolutions. The first one, department should provide a detailed report on the bucket eradication program within 14 days. So you can see that some of the issues that we're dealing with within the budget report are already requested here. The department should provide a detailed report on the job opportunities per province, disaggregated demographics showing the department's transformation efforts. Within 14 days, the department should provide a rollout plan for ministerial support program to the 105 poor performing municipalities. Once it is developed, the department should advise the committee on the time frame for the development of this plan, as the committee understands that the plan involves other departments such as the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs and the Presidency. The department should provide a detailed report on the roles and mandates of the water boards, CMAs, the NWRI, to the committee within 7 days. The department should present to the committee the water pricing strategy at an appropriate time to be decided by the committee. The department should submit an integrated report on 105 poor performing municipalities conducted by the department and the Department of Cooperative Governance Traditional Affairs. The department should submit a report on the performance of each sub-program within 14 days. The department should add explanatory notes to the reports to provide context and details on performance information quarterly reports. The department should provide a report on acquisition of servitudes in Machabeng local municipality within 14 days. That is the fourth quarter report, Chairperson. And I wish we had started dealing with this before we dealt with the budget, because a lot of information or recommendation that relates to some of them, they are here. So, but anyway, that is the report, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable Kobe?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Tamani for the comprehensive report. Chair, I just have a correction to make. I think it's recommendation 5.4, which also relates at the top with the clarity seeking role of the National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency. When we asked as a committee with regards to the agency, we weren't asking the difference between its mandate as opposed to water boards and CMAs. We were asking clarity in terms of its ability to resolve infrastructure issues within the water sector specifically, and what have they done so far with the agency and how far they are with compiling, not compiling, but getting together the board that will be running this agency. So it's not in relation to asking its role vis-a-vis water boards and CMAs. No, we wanted clarity as to what role it's playing in terms of resolving the infrastructure issues within this sector. If that can be corrected, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Ditebe.
Chairperson, thank you very much, and greetings to you and our very agile, able, and young member, the Honorable Kobe. I see she's doing a wonderful job in her province. Chair, I think a bit of both, actually. If you remember, specifically it was Honorable Reddy who complained bitterly about what he perceived to be the duplication. But I think in the end, the committee's view prevailed, and the understanding, therefore, as I put it at the time, the logic of reason prevailed, and it was indicated that you do need the two to exist side by side. So it was in that context at that time when the relevance or otherwise of the CMAs was interrogated. That's the first thing. The second one, Chair, in the report, I think it's just a typo thing. The purview is not correctly spelled. It's PURVIEW. So it's spelled PER instead, VE, etc. Now, the other one, Chair, relates to I think the correct title there is the Executive Mayor relating to Machabeng. But I think it seems a bit fuzzy, Chair, that, the report should be saying the department maintains that its role is that of the regulator in respect of this PAN, which contains a huge body of water and has since destroyed people's assets there, houses and movable assets as well. So it must indeed be stated that the executive mayor pledged on behalf of the municipality that there would be that 50 million, but that it was not forthcoming. So, Chair, this, as far as I know, this particular area, Allen Ridge in Machabeng, is one of those areas where the department has intervened in terms of WISIC, where, for example, the pump stations, wastewater treatment plants are not working. Just for context, Chair, this PAN, it containing this huge body of water, the pump station of the local area, which is Nyakalong in Allen Ridge, is currently immersed in water. The wastewater treatment plant is not, but it remains dysfunctional too. There are previous cases of corruption where 7 million rand was made available, but it was never used for that. It's a matter for investigation. But the department, through Val Central, which has since, that is Val Central, which has since appointed the Project Management Office, is intervening in that area as it is doing in other areas. In other words, in this particular area, that whole pan was supposed to be dewatered. Now, the water was supposed to be decanted out of that so as to then allow the pump station to function. It is in that context that the 50 million rand just off the cuff was committed, but it actually did not exist. If you ask the department now, the provincial head, Dr. Ndidi, has since had interactions with Harmony, and Harmony is also misspelled. It's Harmony, it's not Hamong. That refers to the mine. So we must correct that. Now, as far as Hlohlolwane and Setsotho, the name Clocolan, it actually, Clocolan is chairperson, people who speak either English or Afrikaans would not be able to say Hlohlolwane. They would then say Clocolan, but even that is misspelled. But actually, the focus here should not be on, it should actually be on the town, Hlohlolwane, in the Setsotho municipality. Remember, as I said earlier, that the aftermath of the year 2000 meant that town-based municipalities, and in this instance, you would have had Clocolan or Hlohlolwane Municipality TLC. Now you have Setsotho, which then includes your Meqileng Fixback. So I've also supplied in the WhatsApp group of the Portfolio Committee the June 2025 report by the department on the BEP. And that is very clear where interventions are actually being made by the department. We have a similar report in respect of the 105 municipalities, I think. So that also tells you what the state of a particular municipality is. In conclusion, Chair, I think we must use correct jargon or terminology. If we are saying 105 dismally performing municipalities, I think we shouldn't use the word, we should use the word critical municipalities. Why critical? Because that's the jargon that is used in respect of the green drop assessment. If a wastewater treatment is said to be critical, it will be performing 33% and below. So that's just the context, because if we do that, we say dismally performing, we just could be conflating it with the state of local government. Yes, there will be similarities here and there, but here we are focused on the green drop assessment. And as we know, that is not just something that is a thumbsuck. It follows the due process. For example, in respect of water, it will be SANS 241, supported by guidelines of the WHO and so forth. So those are the points, Chair, that I thought I should make. Where reference, if I may just conclude, has been made to this report must come within 14 days, we must also just go back to what was shared with us recently, I think, Chair. But I agree with the spirit of the report that, accountability, responsiveness must be ongoing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, that is the report before us with the minor adjustments. Honourable Moore.
Apologies, Chair. I thought my hand was up. I just wanted to give one minor correction.
Okay.
It is on sorry. Item 4.5, the final paragraph, so just above 4.6, it says pertaining. There's an extra G that's been added to the word. So just a quick spell correct there. Harmony is just right next to it. So some quick right clicks, spell checking on that paragraph. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honourable Reddy.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think I want to welcome the report. I think the report covers many of the issues that we've raised as a committee and issues that I've raised when we were discussing the APP. The concerns that have been contained in the report is concerns that we've expressed in the committee. However, I still want to express my reservations about the proposed recommendations to deal with these serious concerns. So I will reserve my views on this matter. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. That will be noted. Colleagues, this is the report. Can I get a proposal that we accept this report? Honourable Dikebe.
Chair, I move that we adopt the report, but before I do, the report correctly states that the over 5 billion rand of irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure goes back many years. I know we've met with the department and the SIU. Can we have something in the report emphasizes the need for the department to regularly brief us about progress on that score? We do know that the SIU is now empowered with its special tribunal. It no longer has to go through the courts if it has to recover through civil litigation, whatever is due to the state. But I think that if we leave it just as it is without any point of emphasis on that particular aspect, it would be incomplete. And Chair, the reason I'm saying this is that the same matters you would have seen some 2 weeks ago that is pertaining to our department were actually ventilated, in Scopa. And it appeared as though our department was doing nothing about that, and yet we're well briefed on that. So it is important, therefore, that we give context to it, so that we say that aspect of the report, that we must insist with it, so that we know what progress there is, because you'll find sometimes the SIU chair is inundated with so many things. You would have seen recently, it's now the Human Settlement Department's entity, the HDA, with 8 provinces, etc. So there's a deluge of these, and sometimes ours, from the point of view of understanding on the part of the public, may veer off the tram lines, if you like. So I thought I should just make that point, Chair, but I move for the thanks.
Thank you very much. Tumani, can we add that into the report?
Noted, Chairperson.
Thank you. And then with the addition that we've agreed on, Honourable Kobe.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm here. Sorry, apologies. Yes, I do support the adoption of the report with the additions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Then this report has been adopted with the reservations of Honourable Reddy. Colleagues, thank you for that. Can we now go to the minutes quickly? 2 sets of minutes. Honourable Dikebe.
Yeah, Chair, sorry, it's just on a matter of procedure. You know, our institution is very strict in terms of how we characterize things. Can we note a reservation, or can we note an objection? And I don't want to discuss the merits or demerits of that. I'm just saying, from point of view of procedure, in your capacity as Chair, do we characterize that as a reservation or an objection? I'm not certain. Just for your guidance, thank you.
Yeah, look, whether it's a reservation, that means that they don't vote on this, they don't support this. because I know that other parties also say that, you know, before I recommend this, I've got to take it to my party first. So I think it's acceptable. Tumani, do you agree with me on that?
Yes, Chairperson, you can either abstain or support or object. Then reservation would be like you will come back. So
well, yeah, I understand.
yes, so it has to be abstain or object or support.
Honorable Reddy, would you like to change? Abstain, object, or
Yeah,
support?
Chairperson, I think I understand English. My English was very clear. I said I accept the issues expressed in the report, and I express my reservations about the way we deal with them. That's also been expressed in the report. So I will need to discuss this in my caucus, and then we will formulate a view. And I'm entitled to do that. That is my right as a member of this committee, and no member of the committee is going to force me into a corner to accept something we do not want to accept. So if it's okay for the committee, you want me to say abstain? I wouldn't want to say reject, because many of the issues that have been raised in the Q4 report, the shortcomings, are shortcomings that we've also been raising consistently. Our only reservations is about what is being proposed in the way we deal with them. So I think I've made myself quite clear. I don't know how you wish to record that, but as I've stated, it should be recorded as such. And I thought, Chairperson, you had summarized it very, very well. You are chairing this meeting, and I respect your views as the chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I've got no problem if you, as we've indicated, that you've got your reservations on the report. I know that in the past other parties did exactly the same, to say that I don't reject this report. I don't want to approve this report. I need to get my party's view on the report. So I think let's minute it as is, and the majority of the members have approved this report. So let's conclude with that. The minutes of the 10th of June, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, and that is the minutes of the 10th. Can I get a proposer? Anyone that wants to propose? Honorable Kobe?
Chair, I move to propose that we accept the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder?
I'll second, Chairperson. I'll second.
Thank you, Honorable Reddy. Honorable Kegakilwe, did
Thank
you?
you, Chair. I wanted to second, but Honorable Reddy has decided to
He jumped the
overtake.
gun. He jumped the gun. All right, the minutes of the 17th of June, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. And that's the last page. Can I get a proposer?
I propose, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Reddy. Can I get a seconder?
I second, Chair.
You've got it. Thank you, Honorable Kegakilwe. Colleagues, thank you very much. This was not an
Chair?
easy meeting.
It was
Honorable,
very interesting, Chair.
yeah, Honorable Moore,
Just sorry, Chair. Just to say, a number of the resolutions that we were going to move into a separate item are included in this set of minutes, and I don't think we need to duplicate them. If there are ones which at the first item we moved into a separate item, can we just make sure they aren't already included here? Because if
Yeah.
they're included here, we don't need to do it a second time. Thanks, Chair.
100%. Colleagues, thank you very much for that difficult meeting. But it's not always easy meetings. I accept that. And there are individuals that's got their own view on issues, which I respect. But thank you very much. At the end of the day, Honorable Ditebe, is that to invite Honorable ready for a cup of coffee or tea? Just a question, Honorable Ditebe.
I refuse. I object. I object.
Chair, he grabbed me and he took this picture of the two of us. So I just need to remind him he can come to the Allen Rich Pan and we can have our whiskey there.
Okay, so coffee is out, whiskey is in. Colleagues, I think it's also in a good spirit that we differ from each other, and thank you for seeing it also in that light. I know that sometimes it is difficult, but thank you very much for assisting us to get this work done. And with that said, this meeting is adjourned.
You also do a wonderful job in chairing, Chair, so give yourself some credit.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
I
Kuzu.
concur. I concur.
I
with the
will take
exception
some
of
cake on that.
disruptions of
I'll
Reddy.
take some cake.